with me as I try to make this work. All right. Anybody who's at the live stream, you know that I broke the stand trying to do that live demo. I didn't break it during the demo, at least, which is a good thing. I don't really have a plan. Some concerns and ideas I wanted to talk about after doing that live stream. If anybody comes in, hopefully we'll get some feedback from these people. That sort of thing. See if anybody comes in. Make sure I'm all set up so I don't get bothered. But yeah, so and I'm actually going to put the stream on so that I can look at comments. Yes, Opera, everybody hears you. Okay? Everybody hears you, buddy. So, what's up, guys? Happy Friday to everybody. It's been an interesting week, to say the least. You know, synchronicities and the plan of the spirit guides brings us to a very strange place. So, welcome to the Wu Damned Mountain stream. So, I figured I would, if anybody shows up, I'll answer some questions. Then that's when I lost some ideas and things that were going through my mind at the, trying to review in my head what we went through. Because my plan was not to show this as much as I did. And, I've been avoiding going public with this stuff for a long time for a lot of reasons. Okay? I mean, the first reason, and the one that I tried my best was, when you're, how do I say this? It's always better to hide your skills around people in general, and especially when you're trying to build a friendly community, it's difficult. Like, even with all the attempts to show as much respect and loyalty and hide my skills, even hiding it, people would attack me and people would, push me out because they're afraid of competition, or I'll turn on them because somebody else fucked them over or whatever, So it's hard enough when people don't deal with me as me. They deal with me through the lens of their past experience of getting screwed by whoever, So it's difficult to place myself, and like 48 Laws of Power, you want to outshine the masses. I mean, just like respect, I didn't, how do I say this? Because, I don't have the thought really clear in my head yet, but there's a lot of resistance on my part to showing any of the woo stuff, for so many reasons. And the first one really was that, I didn't want to outshine the senior people in the community, especially ones that I befriended, right? Like, my whole goal was to, support them, I growing up in, traditional martial arts, I don't have a problem playing follower, In fact, it's, I don't care, because, I none of this really matters to me, It's like I didn't, so I still don't know how I feel about, teaching this stuff and showing it. I felt like it had to be done. I don't regret doing it, right? I knew it had to be done for so many reasons. One, because it's this idea of what's real and fake, and two, with the amount of people that have been against me in just the Tai Chi community alone. Just on the fact that I exist, and they make these little wars in their head. They put me to a position where now I have no choice but to show them that I am who I am, and I'm more worried that, because when people see these abilities, they chase superpowers and they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And there's a lot of concerns I have with teaching this stuff, And then there's the spiritual aspect of it, when they talk about why I don't teach spirituality, is because, the war is real. And, there's not many of these masters in public, because when you go on this path, you're going to be up against powers and principalities, and it's serious. And, I don't feel comfortable initiating anyone into that, and to have them go through that path. And then there's the issue of actually reaching the level that that I demonstrated, which I was not when I did the the form demo, it wasn't a planned thing. I never wanted to show that kind of stuff. That's something that's, reserved for the monk level peoples, and I turned from that path a long time ago, for the aforementioned reasons. Like, once I took the refuge, the war was on. Look, I'm just gonna say like this even basic, like just a basic level. Let's just say like, you want to improve your health and you go vegetarian, right? People are going to attack you, and it's like, and remember, I went vegetarian before all the hipster idiots became, vegan wasn't a word, okay? And in those days, like you guys at this point know that I have like, I'm the entire sphere of influence in my being, So I go from very peaceful to, if I need to be, I am that warrior or psycho, But they're all controlled and contained, But what I'm trying to say to you is, just by you being you in contrast to others, it will cause conflict. It's unavoidable because of the way social engineering, how people are brought up, and just human nature. So, you're just trying to make yourself, let's just say you hang out with a bunch of drinkers and you stop drinking, and you're not complaining, you're not saying anything, you just say no thank you, and then you just want to hang out and just talk. You'll get shitted on, because you're not like the crew, and then like, what happens? They're going to compare themselves just through, observation to you, and it's just, what happens is this, through the contrast, they see you on a different path obscure to them. And then subconsciously they're saying, well, he's different than me. And then we have this I am construct where we, through language, we curse ourselves by saying, I am a carpenter, I am a painter, to go to a girlfriend's house, the first answer, what do you do? And it's like why you don't name the Tao, right? It can't be named, because you can't, once you put a label on it, you now put it into an energetic thought form, into a construct. So, the way that the brain works, your subconscious is going to sit there and you have this I am the drinker, or I am the meat eater, or I am the hard style Tai Chi guy, I am the Wu Tai Chi guy, whatever it is, right? But you say I am this thing, and you put this program in your subconscious, so now that when you see contrast, the subconscious feels like it's being attacked and dying. So even if I don't say anything, now that I've shown this level, it's gonna cause bullshit, and I didn't really want to do that, but I had no choice now. And there's a lot of reasons it has to be done. I understand that. I'm just being honest with you guys, like I promised I would be. So this is the issue in general. Like you're gonna, if you want to go on any of these paths, like the real Wu path, you have to understand it's, you have to think of like the old legends and understand how hard this life is, and I was, how do I say this without getting in trouble? I've been on an undercover mission, okay, for almost 25 years, like on a spiritual path that's been, put me out in the world as a renegade monk in the concrete jungle, So, what I'm trying to say is that in order for you to do this level, and this is why, because people see that level and that's all they care about, and they don't understand, right? You have to be willing to go through all these stages, and even if you have a teacher, you're still going to be alone. Even if you're surrounded by people, and the farther you go, the more lonely you will become. Okay? And you have to make loneliness your superpower. Like, I was famous, okay? Like, in 3 different realms. I used different aliases, and people that know me, like, let's just say that I have a reputation in different places, and people know me for different things, Like, I was signing girls' tits and everything, you know what I mean? But even doing that, right? It's you have to. It's like living like an undercover ninja assassin, okay? Like you have to accept this path. You know what I mean? No one's gonna understand it. And you have to be consistent. No one's gonna be there to tell you, oh, did you do your training today? Like it's a really hard path. You know what I mean? And like, it doesn't matter who your teacher is. They're just pointing the way up the mountain. You gotta walk, man. And no one really wants it. They say they want it, but 99.999% of the people, they really don't want it. You know? And even the ones that, like, let's just say you have somebody who has like the mental idea and the physical, like the really, you know, now you have to fight through life. And life trying to stop you, you know? So there's everything against you to get to that level. And it's not, how do I explain it? It's like, you know, that's like one of the main concerns I have with people looking at it, because the first thing, I want to do that, you know? And there's another thing, like for me, I'm still trying to break down exactly what parts are required as a real baseline. Like what is the exact prerequisite with no time wasted? Like what, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm gonna have to do a little more research and see the other like publicized lineages. Like I have to spend some time watching these other channels and seeing what they're doing, and seeing why they have a linear path and why it's so inefficient, why some are efficient, and then compare it to how I do it. But there's there's some things that are they're just physical. But then it's like, you know, let's just talk about like when I did the form and the guy is like trying to push me thing. There's, you know, obviously you can't do any of this, like even the no touch woo stuff is still based on the body being a machine that needs to have a certain condition and alignments and things happening. So you have to do the prerequisite, and it's going to take you at least 2 years of doing this form every single day without missing a day. And I mean with precise focus, interoception, correcting and this and that, just to get the body built. In fitness, we call it a transformation phase. So like some people do a bulk and then they'll cut, you know, so we call it like a transformation phase. Well, in karate, it's the same thing. You do your hard body. Well, in Tai Chi, there's transformation phase where you have to create, you know, a body for it. But then there's a mental condition, right? And I want to avoid the spirituality aspect, because all these forms of spirituality are, they're painted boxes, but you know, inside the boxes is more important. You know what I'm saying? It's the fundamentals, which are a science, right? It is a science. It's very physical. Okay, the astral stuff is a physical thing. Okay, it's not like, you know, it's a physical thing in a higher density. There's no such thing as dimensions, there's density levels. Okay, where like a frequency bandwidth spectrum hangs out. Okay, so, but aside from that, to be able to get these effects, you need to be able to get your minds first to understand what the Mushin level in Zen is, right? Where you can switch to this, it's like a self-hypnotic trigger state where you put yourself in this mind place. And then over time, to be able to function in this half awake, half asleep place, right? So it almost puts you in like a dream-ish state. Well, I'll be talking to you and stuff, but it's almost like just above sleepwalking in a sense. Okay, and you have to be able to switch back and forth to these modes. And that takes a certain, you know, type of training, right? That people consider a spiritual path. However, it could be devoid and removed from, you know, a practice of aligning with deities, as, you know, the occult Buddhism is teaching, right? You know, some of these higher level techniques I didn't get from people. I got through meditation, from speaking to some kind of Taoist deity. Okay, I know this sounds completely bizarre, and I don't want to talk about it because people say, oh, you know, and because people are so far removed from this kind of thing, they're not going to understand. You know what I mean? And you know, so it is what it is. But the point, you know, is that these are some of the things that I've been thinking about and that concern me regarding this whole process. And then, you know, having to deal with a lot of it. And then, you know, now that I've opened the can, you know, I can't put it back in the can. You know, and you know, we're gonna find out, like, you know, who my friends really are now. Because it is what it is, you know. And we're gonna find out, like, how the shitbags feel about it also. There's a lot of misconceptions, you know. But I'm gonna talk about, like, some of the push hand stuff and some of the things I did on the lower levels, so you guys understand, and try to clear some things up, because I watched the stream again today just to see, because I don't remember when I go through these demos. Like, again, I'm in a different place, you know. I'm just interacting with whoever's there, and it just comes out. So, like, I didn't plan anything. You know, I just like, okay, you know, he called and offered to do, you know, the demo. Said, hey, it'd be cool for the channel. So I'm like, all right, great, sounds cool. I haven't had anybody who wants to see it, so fine. I thought it was gonna wind up being, you know, just the basic stuff. But I felt like I had to do it. And, you know, now I don't really like it. I didn't really want to, you know what I mean? I didn't want to wind up in any position where I'd be competing with anyone. You understand? Like, I really went out of my way to gear this channel so that I would be doing things that no one else is doing that are still useful and, like, fill up holes. You know what I mean? And that's just basically that, you know? So, it is what it is. I can't take it back now. So, what's up, everybody who's here? If you're coming in, please just hit the like button. You know, you don't have to talk if you don't want to. You don't have to say what's up, but you guys know how YouTube is, man. You know, it just, everything helps at this point. And I'm looking for my tissue. I thought I had paper towels over here. I could have sworn I did. Anyway, so let's go over some of the push hands things. I want to make sure people understand, like, because it was coming out fast. So when I set up, like, the push hands thing, I'm going to talk about the 3 rings and how I approach the tack stuff, right? So when I'm, like, playing with the people, like, you know, it depends on what level they are. But for the most part, I'm following the same algorithm that I showed in the True Self fighting mechanic video, and, you know, basic stuff I keep repeating. But the idea is there's, like, an algorithm that I use, in a sense, like, it's a preset pattern, and how I start off when I first touch the guy, you know what I mean? It's always the same for me. Like, I'm always gonna, as soon as I make a touch, I want to connect to his spine. And then from there, that condition sets up the wheel spinning, you know what I mean? And then how I look at it is whether and this is the same thing for the Wu projected stuff through your arm, the attack path and the body mechanics are the same, right? So, you know, all even the monk dude I talked about, when he describes, he even says that you need to have the body and the bones, everything in the proper state first. You know what I mean? Because you're in the Matrix, and this is the holographic avatar, and there's certain components of your lives you can tap into certain frequencies and stuff. But with that being said, the same mechanic that I would use to do a straight push, like, say, Repulse Monkey or, like, Split on my fan, that's the same energy pathway that I'm using when I do the Fajing throw. So if he grabs me, you know, even if I'm not moving, inside my body, I still feel the same wave out form, like the same form. It comes out the same way. I still feel the same energy. And, like, even now doing it, I can feel this rush coming through to the tip of my hand. So when I make that contact, I'm thinking, okay, you know, first thing, I'm just tracking his spine. So this is the first thing. So when I say that, like, I'm constantly calculating how to hit this guy, it's a default I'm not thinking about. This is, you know, the first levels, you know, I was like, okay, I'm going to start training my my attention for fighting. This is the first level of what I was thinking. Okay, I have to figure out these base mechanics. So in the very first days, right from the beginning when I started playing push hand, even though this was my thought right from the beginning, I added this immediately, right, and just became more and more intense and focused in different ways. So when I'm making that contact, okay, fine. If he moves, he sets up a vacuum that draws in the next energy. right? So I only allow it, so I have like this wall set up, which is like, the end of the bridge, his chest, behind his head, right? So when I'm playing the game, they don't know that I'm feeling if this bridge disconnects, I know this is already in. It's like what's going to suck in the energy. And when you're programming in the beginning, you're thinking I want to do this thing, but over time, it's more like you're watching it happen and you're just noticing, like, okay, that was there, okay, that was there, and you're just like, it's more like, it's not like you're doing it, you're just noticing, and like, it's almost like your higher self is looking down at your lower self and you're just checking the field and watching the game happen, and like almost coaching yourself, like a split personality, if that makes sense. So it's like, it's not even a conscious thing. There's a conscious switch, like, okay, we're gonna go from this mode to this mode, where I'm gonna go, okay, we're gonna attack. Then there's a firing switch, and then this next set of algorithms kick on, where there's, crushing the bridge and then trampling through. So that's a second algorithm set. When I go into, and there's a mind shift also. When you see me do like the, the contact throw type stuff, the real woo stuff, there's a similar algorithm and it feels the same. It just feels like it feels like the impulse of me wanting to throw my hand out like this. It's like my hand's still here, but there's a ghost hand and the pulse that gets shot out. So if you would freeze frame when I did the form and you see me especially the last push where I let him push me, so you guys can see that he's actually pushing me and what happens. But then when I go back in, and I say go back in, it's also a mental thing because it's a switch in your brain because all these states have to be in position. But if you freeze frame it or put it in super slow motion, you see the moment of contact. As soon as he touches, there's all these things that are happening. And for me, whatever, right? But for me, there's an extra step, right? And what I did was because remember, at first I had to reverse engineer this stuff. So I would freeze frame these videos from China, these obscure dudes that it's not even in English, there's nothing in English, okay? Really shitty, grainy videos. And I would freeze frame and slow down. Okay, what's going on? You know what I mean? And I have an eye for this kind of stuff. This is why I got paid so much. So I have that skill to be able to do that. And then I would double check with other people and contact and stuff like that. Anyway. Well, anyway, there's a segment that I call and it is one of the Jin listing that's called catching, right? And I think most of the time now they've combined catch with transform. So it's like when you say wa, it's a wa, to neutralize. It's like there's a state right before that you neutralize, and it really comes down to how fast your brain is processing information, or how much you can slow time down. And what happens is when you start, it's like being on a 64 tick server or a 128 tick server. There's just more slices. So at the moment when he touches, there's how you accept the force into the system before you neutralize it is a stage. So when you freeze frame this, you're going to see as soon as he touches me, it looks like he just touches me and gets pushed off of this bubble. At that point, it feels to me like I was doing all the same things. I've never seen video because I never allowed myself to be video doing that kind of stuff. But there is something to be said about this external energy bubble, okay? But again, I think to get to that stage, you still need to go through the physical stage because all this astral stuff is physical stuff at a higher frequency and a lower density. It's like, comparing water to air. Air still has mass. Air still is a physical thing, but it's just the molecules are so far apart, it's not dense until you compact it together. So that's the idea I'm trying to get to. You still need to do the physical thing. You can't just sit and meditate and be able to do this stuff, all right? And you're not going to sit and meditate and never move your body and not have their alignments and the fascial conditioning and the lymphatic and all this stuff happening. The machine has to be tuned to do that work. You can't just do it, And I don't know how much of my diet and my previous training helped with that, and I don't know if I could have done it just doing the form and isolating it as a mechanical technique, because there is definitely a mental training and ability that you have to have, and you know, and you can see it that I'm able to switch on and off on the dime in my mind. I get angry, I'm allowing myself to get angry. I don't have to, I wanted to get angry. I made a conscious decision to get angry. You understand? And I can switch on this meditative state from years of training it. You know? It just you go to another place. Like, you know, like for the most part, like, I don't even see. Like if you watch me doing that with his Chiva exercise, you'll see like, because I watch it today and I'm looking at it, and I was breaking for him to explain something, and he comes over to grab me again, and I'm not even looking at him, I just grab his hand. It's like, I'm not looking with my eyes at that point. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even there. You know, like, it just, the world isn't there, I can't see. Like, I stopped using my eyes in the same way, you know? But anyway, so I didn't have a plan. I'm just like talking out my concerns and things that are coming up. So anyway, the whole idea of like when you see me do that touch, it may look like he just hits the bubble, and he may have at that point. Okay, but in my body, I still feel, and also in my time, it felt way slower than it is in the camera. Like I'm always slowing myself down for people, but like that, like in those moments, like things slow down. Like, you know what I mean? Like it like when I put my hand out, for me, it's like 1, 2, 3, shoot. It's like I feel the connection, I catch it, I neutralize it, I roll it, and then I send in an impulse. The Fa Jing is like on the wire, and you don't see anything move. It just, your mind just puts it out, and so if you feel it, like it's just a whoop, it's a whoop feeling, you know. So it's, I didn't want to show this stuff, you know what I mean? Because like, I can explain it mechanically, but even if I do, it's gonna cause so much shit. People are gonna talk shit about what I do. So it's like, what am I gonna do? I'm just waiting for it. I'm just waiting for the bullshit to start. But yes, that's really why I some of my things I want to talk about. You know, I really am concerned that, you know, people want superpowers, you know, more than, and they don't want to use them for good anyway. And to be honest, like, you know, that level of woo, like, you know, if you're gonna do the mental training to get there, you know, I doubt very highly you can ever be someone who's not highly moral. So I don't think that's really so much of a thing the masters are afraid to teach, you know. But because it just I don't see how you can get there without the prerequisite mental training. You know, I just don't see it happening. So I'm kind of really concerned about that. What I am concerned about is that, you know, people are gonna want that and miss the process, because the Tai Chi, like, it's the process that's important. It's not about where you are on the scale of skill. It's about where you are on your internalized focused awareness on the path at that moment. So my master said to me, each movement is a universe unto itself. And you have to be able to get your mind to be comfortable moving frame by frame by frame in reality, right? So most people are dealing with reality at 30 frames a second. You have to be able to shut yourself to a state where you're dealing with reality frame by frame by frame, or at least every, you know, couple of frames. That, like, you know, like kind of like when you sit at the stoplight and the light turned green and you're sitting there waiting 3-4 seconds, and the guy could see that they're actually looking at the light, but their brain, because normal people are so slow, that it takes them time to process what's going on. So that's a concern, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why I really worry, because, like, you know, like, people are missing the point. you know, and it's not. I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a good thing, but we're about to find out. We're about to find out, and that's like my concern, I mean, I've been getting shit talked. People have been attacking me for my whole damn life, Every time you try to be good at something, try to help people shit on me. So I'm used to that. You know what I mean? Like the Tai Chi community, like my friends in New York don't understand like why I come to this place. Like, it's because 10 years more, with 10 years, a decade, that people have been attacking me. Every time I post, like they'll talk shit. I get it, so I can deal with it. It's like, all right. Let's give him something. Just give him something really to talk shit about. So that's where we're at with this. Like I don't know. But now that the cat's out of the bag, and now everybody wants to learn. So it's like if you really want to learn this stuff, you gotta you gotta prepare yourself. And it's not an easy path. And you really have to do it every single day and not miss a day. And I mean, I've been hiding that I've been able to do these skills for at least 10, 15 years. I just never show people. I go to the meetups and I'll hint at it a little bit, but I never, because I prefer to be in the middle of the totem pole whenever possible. To go and just be the guy who's hanging out in the middle and mind my business. Because the thing is this. Fine, so I can do all this magical woo stuff. Okay, great. It doesn't mean I can't learn from other people. They still have things I don't know, and like having any kind of paranormal ability at all is not a good thing for the most part. It just gets you into trouble, as you can see what happened to me. So it's not a good thing. You know what I mean? So that's the idea. So I mean, I'm going to continue on with it, as it comes up, as people ask. At this point on the channel, I've reached the critical mass. So it's like, I'm not sure what I can teach that hasn't been done already, hasn't been repeated. You know what I mean? Or do I even want to do it anymore? Because there's not really enough people that appreciate it. There's not enough people who really want to do the path. And there's not enough people that do the path for the correct moral reasons. And even the ones who are trying to be good, even my friends, some of them, they're not mentally in the correct place, and the pretentiousness about what people think is spirituality and what's right and wrong. You understand? Like how easy it is for me to fool people into thinking that I am completely unaware and completely not spiritual just by cursing a few times. It shows you the point. They're so pretentious and they're so full of shit that they can't even see me coming. They see what they want to see. It is what it is. So there's a lot of concerns. Like I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I'm sure it'll be fine because it's what's meant to be done at this point. I can't really argue it. Yes. What do you need? You see, I'm talking to people, right? Can I finish? You mind? What? Well, you want to say hi? You want to say hi? I think he wants water. You can wait, I'm busy. Sorry. But, so that's like my concerns. I'm sure you guys can understand that. And I'm also like, at this point, I have to really analyze what components are part of this, because there are like psychic abilities that I have, right? And I don't like to talk about in realms that aren't there because it gets usually a lot of bullshit, a lot of hate, and people want to talk and then gives them something else to use against me. And it only gets you into trouble. And I'm not sure what part of the path is exactly necessary for those woo effects to actually work. I can tell you that, you know, the baseline Mushin state, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to get that switch and go into that mode where I can instantly turn off my emotions. It instantly, like a snap of a finger. I can go from like balled out angry, and then I'll just switch off. Like it just like I just have that ability. I can turn it on and off on a flick of a switch. So being able to switch through mind states is very important, you know, because that's what I was trying to explain. Like, you know, it's like there's a physical condition that's fine, but then, you know, I didn't want to show the whole thing, but then I slipped, and it just happened. So that mind state switch, you'll see it, and you'll start to see the effect becoming bigger and bigger on him. The more focused my intent gets inward to creating my internal state condition. So that's one of the things, you know what I mean? So I guess to say, like, what I can tell you as fact to get to that state, to that place of being able to do woo stuff, is you have to first do the prerequisite body mechanical training. If you don't have the fundamental alignments down, the antenna on the energy is not messed up. It's not right. So your fluids and things that, you know, they're not set. The bones and the physical body and structure has to be in the correct place, and it has to be trained and conditioned the correct way. So before you can even think about doing the woo stuff, yeah, I can show you some party tricks versions, like, you know, how to use lots of collision, things like that. But to get to that super high level where like you're just like on the touch type of thing, you definitely have to get the mind conditioning, and you definitely have to have the physical body done the right way. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do it. You'll just be chasing your tail for a decade. So that's a thing. You know what I mean? And I think that the form itself, when you're practicing the form with intention on interoception, like actually going in your body and focusing and doing all the things the class does exactly, but not doing anything else, and having these conditions repeated over and over again in that form twice a day without missing a day for at least 2 years. Okay? So, and I'm an overachiever, so I did it more than that, and I didn't just do the form once in the morning at night, I did the form 3 times in the morning at night, and I did not miss a day for that 2 years. And then even afterwards, I barely miss a day, you know, except when I moved here, I took 3 months, you know, I didn't do the form. And then when I got really sick, I was really bad. Aside from that, I've pretty much kept up doing the form at least once a day for the last 20-something years. And I mean this like I don't miss. Okay? Like, unless there's something like drastic going on in the world, I do the form. You know what I mean? So if you're not willing to do that, just forget it. Just forget it. That's why it'll take people 10, 20 years, because they think that they're training, but they're not. You know, and even if they're doing that, they may not be doing it with the correct state and mind and intention and condition and hyperfocus. It's hyperfocus, like, you know, ADHD hyperfocus. You know? So you have to be able to get that. If you're not going to be able to do that, and just don't set yourself up for a failure and disappointment. You know what I mean? Because I don't care how much money you throw at people, what the teacher's name is, what their rank is, and this is historical fact. It has nothing to do with the teacher, it has to do with the student. You know, like my master said that there's teachers that are born, they're not made. Like my master would select candidates and he would say, okay, you're going to be a fighter, you're going to be a teacher, and some of us can do both. And it's very rare when you can actually, when you're a technician who can fight. Most people who are technical, they're usually not very good fighters. And most people who are good fighters are usually not very technical. You know? And then on top they be able to teach it. So to be able to do all three is a rarity. So in the same way, someone being able to produce this level of woo skill is so rare, because you have to fulfill all the conditions, you know, physical body, mental, diet, and then being able to be consistent whatever the world's throwing at you. You know? And it's you have to understand what I'm saying, like how hard this is. You know? And it's not difficult if you enjoy the suffering. Because that's what it is, you know? So it's just a forewarning, man. Like, you know, it's like it's not something like, yeah, I can teach you party tricks, I can teach you a couple of things that, like, you know, but if you want the full on package, it's nobody can save you. Okay? You know, only he who sees the pit by his own will transcend it. Like, you can't, no one can help you. You know, the masters will point the finger and they'll tell you to do this, do that, but it's all on you. There's no one that, it's, not only that, the farther you go towards the Wu side, the more you will have to give up and the more you will have to lose. You are going to lose friends, family, like even parts of yourself you have to kill. It's a thing you have to accept, okay? So don't see that and think, oh wow, so, you know, like it's a lot. It's a lot to do with it. It's a lot of shit that comes with it. And you have to be sure that's what you want to do, and understand, like, it's a long process. It just, there's nothing you can do about it. So you have to, I would say that you need at least 2 years to get the default where the biomechanical structures and conditions and mentality is correct. And that's just for the body and the form. Then you have to do stimulus training with as many people as you can, and you have to be able to do it while maintaining all these conditions and be consistent with it. So that takes time and input training, you know? So the way I got it was by, you know, playing dumb, playing stupid, you know, and going into these places and meets in random places and random people, like drunk people, like anybody I could find, you know, for any reason. And get that sensory input from being weight loaded by another human being, and then start to learn how to read all these signals. Because there's a lot of proprioception and interoception things that you have to deal with. Like, you know, just understand how sensitive your fingertips really are. Right? Like, I don't think you realize the level of sensitivity. Like, they did, you know, I forget like how they micro whatever, but they take and they just barely, and see like when you actually sense touch, you know, people don't stop to recognize how their body actually works even that much. You know what I mean? So there's so many little systems that are being dealt with and enhanced that you have to train. And so, you know, so after you get the basic body training, and let's just say you're doing your base push-in training during that, fine. So you set up the process. You're still now have to go into, okay, that's, you just got started. So like when we say, like, you get a black belt from my teach, that's when you start your training, is at black belt. Like, it's the first level where you actually start your training. Now, the black belt level is supposed to be, the ranks actually list as like associate instructor, or like, you know, like understudy instructor, right? So first dan, second dan is, you know, is like a senior instructor, second and third dan. Fourth dan is an associate master, right? Where you're under the master. And fifth dan is master, which is basically, in black belt expert literally just means you can teach everything from black belt below you, right? You have the syllabus from that level down, okay? Master level means that you have qualifications to teach instructor level. That's what that means, right? You have a master's degree, BS degree. You know what I mean? So it's the same idea, right? Well, when you're doing the Tai Chi, you gotta think your first 2 years of foundational body mechanical training, yeah, you'll be able, if you're doing it right, you should be able to defend yourself and do all this stuff. But you're still, to the grand scheme of everything, a fucking baby. Okay? And that's what I mean, like, people don't understand, like, the crazy level gaps that there really are, you know what I mean, in martial arts. Like, you know, from real martial arts. Like, you'll see it, like, in, you know, like commercial jiu-jitsu guys now, at least they have it where they do have some kind of quality control method where you can say, okay, a blue belt's supposed to build their stuff, and, you know, and they really fight to keep that quality control method, like the old Japanese style, like I did. So, like, you know, you can look at that to understand what I mean. That a first down, okay, a white belt exploring a first down black belt, it's like you're bitch smacking a child, okay? But a second dan sparring a first dan should bitch smack a white belt. And in every level, it should feel like you're getting toyed with. Like when you're like, if you're in a traditional lineage and it's correct and they're doing the quality control standards, a first black belt to second down black belt, that second down black belt should be just like there's nothing, there's nothing there. Third dan to second dan, same thing. So imagine the gap from third to first. It's obscene level skill change. You know, it's obscene. You can't comprehend it. So I'm trying to give you something to wrap your head around, because even guys who are, you know, because I got a bunch of people, even if you're really advanced, I don't think you comprehend the skill gap that happens if there's a traditional-ish lineage or like a method that has a quality control exam where you know at this point you know this thing, and at this point you know this thing, and there's a certain training algorithm. You should feel like when you meet up with somebody who's at that different rank, it's just like you just feel like a baby. You feel like an idiot. You know? And you know, so it's like, obviously, like I've been a coach and instructor for most of my life. So most people, like, you know, like technically I'm 9th dan now, technically, you know what I mean? But I'm officially 5th. So generally when I'm sparring people like that, that's a levels gap, you know what I mean? It's like, it's hard for me to talk about these things, because then, you know, if I say it, if I'm confident about it, it's like egotistical. If I don't say anything, I'm like, yeah, it's a fucking mess. You know what I mean? So it's difficult. You know what I mean? Like even when I go to the meetups, they don't understand. Like, you know, because I always keep it really quiet and I hide it. You know what I mean? Because I didn't go there and like, you know, puff my chest and say, hey, I'm a fucking kung fu master guy. I went there to go play and learn and exchange stuff. So you have to keep yourself small enough that you can fit in people's boxes, if that makes sense. You know, that it's digestible for them. Because like, there's things that I know about that would not only cause an uproar, but would make some people lose their mind. If they had the information, it wouldn't be good. But I hope this is making sense for you guys. Like I don't really have a plan, but I figure this is important crap. And for some reason, people, you know, like to hear me run my mouth, and they care about my opinion for some reason. So yeah, that's that. So that was my concern about this stuff, you know, is I know that people are like, I want that, you know, and I don't mind giving it to them. You know, I hope everybody gets on the spiritual path at one point or another, you know what I mean? Because I do think that, like, while I don't believe Tai Chi is a spiritual path itself, I think that it's a mechanical way to align yourself with spiritual paths, but they shouldn't be taught as one. This is my opinion, okay? That it will, if you do it the right way, removing the real, let's say Buddhism, for instance, if, you know, that's why, like, you know, Zen and Chan, very, you know, cutthroat to the point. They remove all the cultural crap for the most part, right? Like, you know, you can isolate the mental training. So, like, you know, I guess I was lucky that way, because I first started with Japanese style Zen, you know, which I went searching for because of Musashi. So that's why I started doing the meditations when I was like 15, 16. So, but the point is, like, you should look at the form that way, right? It's a mechanical, biomechanical study, but also conditioning training to give you something to place your spirituality on top of. You know, whether you're a Christian, Muslim, Jew, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever the hell, Shinto, it doesn't really matter. It's going to have the same effect, because it's going to create, for instance, if you're just trying to, you know, sit in meditation, if your body is not in the proper alignment and you have, you know, it's hard to sit, physically sit, it's painful. Okay? And then, you know, you want to do like energy stuff, or like, you know, something like channeling and things like that. If your spine isn't aligned correctly and the fluids in your body aren't moving correctly and there's like toxins in your body and all this stuff, it's very difficult to create the conditions where you can do these things. So that's the idea. You know, and if anybody, I can't really see who's in here because I can't see the counter from back here. But if you have any questions or anything like that, you know, jump in. I can see the comments over there. You know, don't feel free to interrupt and hit the like button and all that stuff. But that's the idea. You know, I came out of the woo-woo closet, and I hope this is, I don't know, I hope it makes somebody happy that I'm talking about the crap. You know what I mean? I am a little concerned about how it's going to turn out because, you know, I feel like I put a target on my head. Again, I feel like I put a target on my head. I guess that's really what I'm trying to come at with, you know. But that was that. I'll stick around for a few minutes. If anybody shows up and has any questions about what I did in the demo, if we want me to explain anything, I can do that, you know. But yeah, just that's some of my concerns, you know. Like, are people really understanding how hard it is, how lonely and dangerous the path is, you know, and is it really worth that, you know? And is that shouldn't be the goal of your training, you know? The goal of your training should be to beat yourself yesterday. The goal of a form training is, even if it's just 1 millimeter, every single day you just correct a little tiny bit. Oh God, not you. Please don't. You need to go. You're a bad girl. Don't talk. Okay? You go on your Discord and you apologize to everybody and be a good girl. Okay? Stop harassing me and chasing me around. Okay? You fucked up. You fucked up and you're spanking. So no more talking. So that's the deal, okay? And unfortunately, when people find out who I really am, it's always going to cause problems. So it is what it is. And even though people who are supposed to be loyal and in the fight will fuck up and screw everything up. So very disappointing, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It is what it is. Free will's a bitch. But yeah, so that was it, guys. I hope that it was entertaining. And my concern again is because I know now I put myself on the radar even more so. So we're gonna see how these people handle it. And yeah, especially if the other guys who are in that realm understand that I'm not trying to compete with them. I don't want their students. I don't even want to teach this stuff. You know, I will if I have to, but my goal was not to put myself in competition with anybody. I don't want to be, you know, I didn't want to be famous as being a woo guy. I just wanted to retire on the mountain and do my other things. But it is what it is. This is the path now, so I'm going to be on it. But yeah, that's what it is. I mean, if anybody has any questions specifically, I know people want me. Yeah, I've been invited to do some things and seminars and stuff like that. You know, I just don't know what the proper path is, and I'm also trying to figure out how we can do this without causing more division and more conflict. Because from the beginning, I've always been trying to pull people together for the most part. You know, and it's always been met with resistance. You know, and there's even some several of the bigger name instructors I've actually. I was, more than happy to work under the name and be happy there. You know, I don't want to be competing with my friends. Like, I don't want to be competing with people who are senior to me. Okay, and it doesn't matter if they can kick my ass or I kick their ass. There's a certain tradition that you're supposed to follow. You know what I mean? And it just nobody follows it anymore. So then everybody looks at me and then they just assume I'm going to do something fucking retarded. You know, which is likely because I'm. But there's a lot of concerns I have, guys, And then also now, where do I put myself? You know what I mean? Great, the cat's out of the bag. Now it's waiting for the first person to say, oh, that's bullshit, blah, 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 blah. Oh, fuck me. Why did you guys tell me to do this? So I'm waiting for it. But anybody other than Shit Purger, anybody else wants to talk, ask any questions or comments, anything you want to talk about from the stream, one of the videos or anything like that, feel free to interrupt me. I'm actually just rambling and waiting for anybody to come in if you have any questions about it. I figured there'd be a lot of questions. Did you just pee yourself? Go on, yeah. After these messages, I'll be right back. I'll leave it open for him. Just fine. He'll be back. So, yeah, I would like to hear some feedback from people about what they got from it, because, there's only been a few comments, and we think with the hundreds of fucking It's another thing that's really annoying, guys. You guys have been using YouTube for freaking 15 years, okay? Even if you don't have a channel, I mean, even if you don't have a channel, you know how it works, okay? You've heard everybody talk about it. You know, like, hit the like button if you watch a video. It doesn't do it, you know, it's like if you don't do that, the system is already designed against us, you know, and then there's people out of their way trying to hurt us. You know what I mean? Great, I hope this isn't full. Okay, good. So, you know, it helps, any little bit helps, like, you know, half the people watching my videos don't subscribe. You have to get, 1,000 subscribers and it's like, come on, guys. You know, and it's even funny because my view counter was, my subscriber count is, you go backwards. It's like, it's like a little assistance would be appreciated. You know, it's like it's bad enough I have to fight the system and fight the douchebags and then, deal with the backlash that's obviously coming. You know what's coming. Just I'm waiting for it. Like, here we go. You know what I mean? So, you guys that are interested in supporting, please do your part, because I'm going to need all the help I'm going to be able to get at this point. You know it's coming. I'm just waiting for it. I'm fucking waiting for it, guys. Yeah. So, yeah, but point being is like, okay, so I'm not sure, like, I know there's some guys that follow that, are really up on the studies, okay? Some people even, know more than me at this point. I don't remember so many of the Chinese theories I just threw in the trash, you know what I mean? It's just like, I learned all this stuff, I studied all the meanings, all the fancy stuff, and it's like, all right, what am I gonna, I don't need this. It's making it more difficult. You okay, buddy? You having trouble over there? What happens when you lay down all day? Your fucking legs don't work, it's a mess. So it's a dog. Okay, buddy, okay. Please don't knock it. Don't knock it, don't do it. He's the klutziest dog. Even before he was deaf and old, he just piles into them. So yeah, okay, so that's basically that. I was thinking about doing some, technical stuff. Anybody showed up and wanted to talk, but since it's Friday night, no one really is popping up. I probably won't. But I figured I'd just ramble with some of my concerns and the things for the people who are going to pop in, because it's just it was unexpected. I didn't want to do it to that level. Like, when I watched the video back today, I'm like, oh fuck. Because when people were commenting, oh, that was great seeing you do this and that, and I didn't really watch what I did, and I didn't want to do it. It wasn't part of my plan to expose myself that much. So now that it's out, I don't know what to do, and I'm not going to take it back because I promised I would, be honest. And I feel like, I mean, part of it feels a little bit, but like, cause I feel like I've been dishonest to everybody I know for so long, like hiding the fact that I can do these things. Like, I remember, like, all the Chen masters in Chinatown, like, everybody knows to hang out with, and I do the same thing to everybody. When he first met me, I played like, oh, I'm just a student, like, I'm just like, show me, and to get them to show me things, and then later on, I was correcting him, and he goes, like, a lot more than you think you do it, and he said like that, and like, all the masters were like, oh yeah, he's this teacher from this place, and he's like, why didn't you tell them? Like, if I would have told you, you wouldn't have shown me anything. And he said, you're right, that's really smart. I mean, there's a Chen style master that told me this, so I'm like, it's just a game of it, But a lot of times I do it because, it's not just humility, it's about like keeping the cohesion of the social collective, Because even when I'm in full monk mode, okay, when I'm playing the character, right? Meaning that I'm following the protocols that are expected in that programmed ego shell, because that is an ego shell. Being a monk, right, it is also an ego shell, right? Like, the conditions that you're expected to live by are ego. You understand? Like, because let's be real, like, 99.9% of these, people who play spiritual monk card, it's pretentious, narcissistic bullshit. You know what I mean? They don't understand. But my point is, even if I'm playing like the perfect model, just by existing, I get attacked. The system will try to attack me. You know what I mean? Like, and you've seen this in your own lives. You know what I mean? Like, if you're different from a clique of people, it's like a foreign body in an environment. It's either, you know, it takes it over like a virus or gets destroyed. So either everyone wants to assimilate to a new idea, or everyone wants to destroy the new idea. You know? Again, coming from this I am consciousness thing. Well, if he's there and I'm here, then, you know, this is one of the, like, may have been the first lesson my Qigong master taught me, was about the 0 point, the number line, and understanding duality. It's, you know, I always repeat this to my students, the same lesson he gave me. If I gave you a donut or a hamburger today, and this is your first donut, right? You never had anything before. You just had the donut, and you eat the donut. Oh, this is, you know, oh, I like this, it's a donut. Fine. Day 2, I give you another donut. You know, first one's Dunkin' Donuts, this one's Krispy Kreme. And you eat the Krispy Kreme donut, you're like, all right, oh, wow. And then I ask you, do you like this one? 90% of people, you know, just are going to say, oh, well, I like it because it's different than the first one, and it's different than the first one by this much, right? So the first donut becomes your 0 point on the number line standard, and the second donut is now compared to the first donut, 0, right? The standard of fluffiness and sweetness, it's like the first donut comparison. So now you put on the number line, positive and negative, according to its position compared to the 0 point. So, I mean, the real first level of real important mental training in Buddhism is to understand to remove the 0, so that you're referencing your experience at that moment with no comparison. It just is what it is. Society isn't built for that. So as soon as someone sees somebody excelling at something, and this is through social engineering by design to keep people slaves, they're programmed to fight the changed condition, the new standard, right? Because their I am consciousness has been programmed, the ego mind, to say, I am this person that is confined by this, you know, social shadow contract. And if you're different than me, I'm now going to compare my existence to your existence. And if it's higher or lower, right? If I feel like you've made me feel lower, what's going to happen? Oh shit, the ego mind's like, you're attacking me, I'm going to die. So it starts to rationalize how to protect its ego shell. And it'll start to lie to itself, make projections and illusions, and then it'll give you a reason to attack you and bring you down, because the idea, it's the next level of this little concept, is that there's, you know, 2 types of people in the world. You know, people, when they see that comparison, the first one's going to say, oh, this person is doing something, and I compare it to myself, and now I know I'm wrong. I have 2 options. I can either correct myself to get up to this new level, or I can attack this person and bring him down underneath me, where I don't really move, but my perception of this other person has changed where I feel above him. You understand? So this basic fundamental understanding of social engineering from a Buddhist perspective is the problem that you're going to deal with, and why I've spent so many years hiding to make other people feel comfortable. Whether it's like, you know, music, martial arts, you know, whatever it is I do, it doesn't matter what I do, whenever because I'm only competing with myself. You understand? Because I know that, you know, I'm not worried about other people, because I know that if I compete with myself every single day and beat myself yesterday, by the end of the year, I'm going to beat 90% of the people on the planet, because they're not doing that. So I'm never in competition with anybody else. You know what I mean? If you're not on this path, you can't compete with me. You know what I mean? It's just do incremental. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, I don't need to compete with you. I'm competing with me. Compete with me how I was yesterday. So that's going to be a problem. You should take this into consideration, you know? Like 99% of the people who had a problem in the last 10 years touching the community, I don't fucking know these people. They're just making up stories and lies, making up fake accounts with my name and pictures, and like talking to people and starting shit. Like, it's just insanity, the shit I've dealt with, right? And I've dealt with it in every realm I've ever been. Okay, no matter how nice I am, like, you know, like 2 years I was completely like straight edge, meditating every day, blah, blah, blah. And like, that's when everybody hated me the most. I got more hate when I went and took the Buddhist refuge and then actually practicing and living the life. And, you know, if you could see that, like, when I do things, I go all the way in. It was like I've attacked, most of my life, but the level of attacks of people who that you would think would be the happiest for you, right? That you feel like you're improving your life, you're getting healthier, or you feel like you're more in balance and this, and just by your existence threatens their false ego mind. Just by your existence, by being there, just by existing and breathing, they want you dead. Okay, they want to take you down a notch. Oh, he's this and he's that. It's like, I'm not even fucking paying attention to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna come after you. So it's just part of the world, and you have to just accept it. So that's part of the reason why I've always hidden my skills. Like, to make other people feel uncomfortable and to be able to still progress. Because another thing you gotta understand is also, I know some people misunderstand about push hands. They make it into a competition. It's not a competition. It should be an energy exchange, right? And putting information into your cells. It's not about winning a position or winning a match. It's about staying in the flow, and then even if you win that little exchange and push, it's just the flow game. You know what I mean? It's like it's just experiencing the moment as they pass, right? And then logging which moments had this type of outcome, which moments had this type of outcome, and then decide which ones you want to leave in your program memory and try to avoid the ones you don't. So it doesn't matter what the other person's skill level is. You're going to learn from touching hands with anybody. It doesn't matter. People who are very low level sparring or push hands, you have so much time to stop and relax and then analyze what's happening, and then you can actually prepare and say, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do this thing, and do that thing. Super high level people is the exact opposite. You can unload on them and they can handle it. So you get to try stuff out that you couldn't try in the lower guys, And then people that are equal competition is another level of learning, So it's like because I see people, they don't mean it, but I see them when I converse with them, that they're so enamored by beating other people, And it doesn't matter, you could be the best in the world and, you slip on a fucking rock or you choke on your own spit. One tournament, I literally was wrecking this guy and I choked on the fucking mouth guard. Okay? I literally went to key out and the fucking mouth guard went in my throat. And I was like, and this guy's what the hell just happened? Because, I hit him and this little bump, I just immediately was like, and I went to breathe in and the mouth guard switched and I literally went in my throat. Anything can happen. You know what I mean? So it's it's irrelevant, and you miss the point, especially about Tai Chi push hand. Sparring and Taekwondo, or karate, alright, fine, I can see that because the end goal is just, I have to destroy you, I have to win. But the push hand is not meant for that, right? It's like playing ping pong with a water hose while you're dancing. Okay, it's like playing ping pong with water hoses while you're dancing. Okay, and you're just trying to keep the volley going as long as possible. If someone breaks the volley, you gotta say, okay, well, why does volley break? If it's if it's good on your side, negative on your side, you both should analyze that instance and then put it into your program memory. That's the real point, So even in when I've been in competitive situations, I go in with the same state. I'm not there thinking about him. I'm not there thinking about me. My focus is always on the feeling. Where is the energy? Where's the, imagine the pressure of the ball, and we're pushing this pressure around, ping pong, and we're trying to see who can who's gonna fuck up the volley. Okay? So that is I think more important. There's a lot of these I don't even know if this is gonna make sense. Even why I'm saying all this stuff to you guys is gonna make sense. But these are a lot of my concerns about coming out of the woo-woo closet. Do people really understand the path? How hard it is to get there? Why you have to, and the right perception of mind state, and also self-awareness of what you are as a being. Like, what is I? Right? So like, when you're doing your training, they ask you to write like these cone riddles and things like that. So what came up to me was like, if all is one and one is none, what is I? So if all is one and one is none, what is I? What is I? What does it mean? What is I? What is I? What is I? What is it? And these levels of consciousness are very difficult for people to understand, and they want spirituality to come in a package that suits them, that aligns with their pre-programmed, preconditioned, and prejudice, right? Like if Jesus was to come down, they want him to come down like a 50-foot fucking giant from the clouds, floating on fucking clouds, shitting rainbows. Okay? These people don't want, they only want if it comes in the package that is programmed into them that makes them feel better about themselves. They don't want the real shit. They don't want the Buddha's teaching if it comes from the bag lady. They want it from the pretentious shell, which is why no one gets the real stuff. This is why so many people spend their entire lives in the yellow robes and running around, and they get nothing. Okay? And there's guys who are very famous right now who, on paper, know more than me, right? Like a certain Taoist master decided to open his mouth and talk shit to me. You know what I mean? Because they're so pretentious, they see my physical body and they see what I show online. So they see my Instagram page, which is me basically, working as working in the adult entertainment industry. They see me like playing death metal guitar. So these random guys are talking shit and trying to gang stalk me and trying to get people against me. And this Taoist master guy, right? You would think he would be more aware to not get in the situation to begin with because it's not his fucking business. But to look at me and see me because I have long hair and playing the guitar and I look like a certain type of person, that he can get away with doing that. And assume that I have no ability, right? But the truth of the matter is, you can have all this practice knowledge and all this stuff you teach, but you can't actualize it like I can. So, I can do this stuff, and there's record of me doing it for decades. Like I said to people, the more you try to disprove my stories, the more true and unbelievable they're going to become. The more you look into it, and the more you start to pay attention, the more the more crazy my life story is going to get, and the more true it's going to get. But so the point is, if you want to learn about spirituality, you have to let go of everything you think it is and what it's supposed to be. What is taught to the masses is manipulation, slavery, and control. So it is what it is. You have to accept that, and the real path is always going to be alone. Is what it is, because you can go to the monastery, you can live the monk life. How many of those monks can do what I do? How many of those monks can do what the Lama Doju do? How many of them? People sit there doing meditation their entire life, and they never have successful channeling of any kind. They'll never do any of this stuff. So it is what it is. You never know who has it. That's always keep telling you guys. You don't know someone's spiritual rank. Okay, you don't know where they're coming from, what it took to get to that place. You only can tell by the fruit of the tree. Okay, you're not going to be able to tell. And then there's people who will purposely put you off to make you think there's something they're not, like I did. And maybe it was deceptive, because it's lying by omission, but I had to do it to protect myself from the people. It wasn't the right time, and if I started talking about this stuff, I would just get mauled. You know what I mean? So even now, it's very dangerous for me. And certain people here running their mouth know what I can do and what I've done and how much trouble it got me into. So that's another reason I don't like to even hint at it, because I don't want people to go on the path I went on unprepared, because it's a war. It's a war for your soul. And you have to be prepared and armored the fuck up. It's not a game. It's hard. Okay? So having like, oh, I want to be like, just having any kind of supernatural, I hate saying that kind of stuff, with paranormal abilities, it's not what you think it is, So just understand that, it's like that's what you're dealing with. It's not fun, and people are gonna hate you, Like, even my friends will throw shade, and like not realizing how much I was holding back to show respect to them, and there's, like they know it, like especially the masters know it, like people I've interacted with, but they understand since respect is how it's supposed to be done. But you'll see that it's even me hiding my ability and only showing so much will still cause division in this comparative thinking. Like it's very difficult to be able to align yourself with other people. Because it's like, what do you do? It's like there's a point of like, how do I explain this? It's very difficult to seat yourself in a position where they see you as an asset, not a liability, right? And you very easily become a liability to them by even trying to do the right thing for them may outshine the master, like in the 48 Laws of Power, right? It's very easy to outshine the master unwillingly, So, which just happened to me recently with my friend who asked me to come and teach some class for him, and it is what it is when you saw it. You accidentally outshine people, and even when you swear your loyalty to them, okay, even when and there's no you've proven yourself, and even still it's difficult. People don't follow the old ways anymore. So how can we live the old way safely when nobody respects the old way? Like it's a very difficult position to be in. So I'm gonna need all the help I can get. That's what I'm fucking telling you. Because I'm not sure what direction we're gonna go in at this point. It's wherever the guides take me. So I'm waiting for instructions. But I hope that this helps some way, because I'm just rambling shit off. But I'm hoping that you realize I'm being really authentic. I'm trying to be as honest and truthful and helpful as I can here, because even without dealing with the powers and principalities, okay, just to go to this place, you have to understand you'll be at war with yourself on a level that is not fathomable to the average person, and some of us all we know is that war with ourselves, so it's easy for us, or it's not easy, just that all we know is suffering. So what's a little more? What's a little more? But if anybody showed, I can't see how many people are here or anything like that, so please, if you showed up, hit the like button, ask some questions. I was hoping I'd clear up anything that may have been missing from the live stream. And or if you had any questions you didn't understand, or if I can elaborate on some stuff, or if stuff looks like complete bullshit, which luckily the comments I'm getting from people, they didn't really consider it, too much room for them. Like I really tried to make the technique obvious. You know what I mean? But there were some things that I did that were definitely, especially the very last, if you look at the What Is She video, the very last touch is like super woo. Okay, if you put it in slow motion, you'll understand what I mean. It's super woo. So, but I'm hoping that I put it in the other stuff to cover it so they don't look for it. Because thank God, people don't know what to look for. They don't know what they're looking at. So I don't know what people see from their perspective and their level of training. I don't know if they understand. What I'm saying, the lead discussion, what is lead, right? I don't know. It's like I don't know if they understand the detail and if they know what to look for, and they can see like when the energy's sent out, like how it's sent out. Like I don't even think they understand what they're looking at. So it's gonna be interesting. You know what I mean? And my concern is that, like, again, I the whole time I've been doing this to do something different. Hey, what's up, Clement? Let me look it over here. I get how to do the yin yang single method. How do you make the pressure empty when a person puts a hand on your body like your back? I appreciate your general experience. I'm a lot earlier in my trend than you are in my seat. Well, I appreciate you guys, you know, and I'm just glad, you know, my suffering can help you guys. I really am, you know, because just at least my suffering for nothing. You know, and I would like to be more transparent with you guys. It just there's something I am afraid for your safety, because look, just my predictions got me on watch lists and attacked from every angle. Okay, and there's hundreds of people who saw it. It's not like I'm just making shit up. There's too many witnesses to what I've done. All right, so I gotta be careful, and I want to be more transparent and help you guys if I can. But then hopefully in the future we'll see what happens. Okay, let me answer his question. So he was saying, how do I get that yin yang separation thing? And when it puts your hand on your body, like your back. Okay. So when you're doing a form, you're doing first level push-in, you have to learn how to use your palm contact, and then you have to learn how to use like your bridge contact. Those are the first things you have to concentrate on. You have to have a real tactile sensation where like you put your hand on the person, but you get to a level over a couple of months where like you're really focusing on those push-ins, where you touch the person, and you know, you don't have to use as much as I do, but there should be a little bit of that G energy when it's asking for. So you have to fucking have something to connect them. You just have to feel their body and where they are, right? Having this interoception inside understanding of the pressure system and feeling it to the point where I can feel the contact, I can feel the pressure ripple, I can feel which path it's going down. I wish I could pull out my anatomy trains book. But if you look up anatomy trains, and you should find pictures online where they'll show you the myofascial pathways. So this is what I was trying to explain. There's just so many things I don't have to really articulate clearly. Like the myofascial system, basically sheets of muscle, and there's paths, right? You should, and also the bone marrow path, right? So it's like you should be able to feel the compression, feel the sensitivity, and then also feel the other person's position, right? When I mean position, I mean their internal position. Like you should be able to touch them and read when they're going to move the other hands, read when they're going to shift their hip. Like you have to be able to feel that, and it comes over time. Because without that stage, you're going to have trouble. You know what I mean? It's not going to be as easy. You know what I mean? So I really focus on that. So start the yin yang thing in your palm, in your first contact point, and make sure you have that down, right? And then when you're touching like the other parts, start from just understanding the closed kinetic chain, basically the path to the ground. Feel, if there's contact here, you feel contact there. And be able to route between the left and right foot. So if he touches you here, you should be able to route to the left and the right foot, okay? So you should be able to differentiate, and that incoming pressure, you decide, because it's now going into your system, you decide where you route it, like a train track, and you have that little rail that decides which track the train's gonna go to. You have to be able to think of force like that first. So first level is touch, second level, is the yin yang thing, and then the third level, did I just see the question? Okay, so the third level is getting that force route. So first way it happens is he's compressing you, and then you'll just feel it happen. You'll feel it go to your feet. Feel it like, so he's on this foot, I'm here, or push me on that foot. But then you want to be able to take it and decide, it's as it touches you, it's going here and it's going here. And it sounds like your brain speeds up, and it's also that when you get rid of the extra processes in your mind and your body, there's less resistance, so your brain can handle more information. So you become more sensitive, not just from the skill, but from getting rid of extra shit going on in your mind and your body. So that's another thing. So now, once you get that contact point, you have that contact wave pressure, simply just go through. You can learn this in a day, but I'm saying to be able to generate this, like on contact all the time, is why I'm saying there's a stage thing. Because I can show you this right now, and you'll have the trick, but then if you didn't do the prerequisite, it's like it's not going to be efficient, long-lasting, and repeatable. You know what I mean? You want it to be a skill that as soon as someone touches you, the whole thing just happens. So make sure you're going up the ladder. So best way I would say is that, like, remember, like the force path from here, right? It's the same force path from here. The thing is that you're not used to using your chest. You're not used to using your back. So you have to first let people push you and let them push you over. Okay? And purposely make mistakes. Right? So you can feel what mistake feels like versus a good thing. You shouldn't be afraid to let somebody push you. Right? I purposely let my students and my friends push me on purpose because they have to get that training. They have to feel what it feels like. Right? And I don't understand these masters who are afraid to let anybody push them. You can't ever see me get pushed. This is nonsense. Right? You have to let them. And it's also good for your body because then you feel what being out is. And that's another reason I purposely let my students push me also, because it helps me, because you get to a position where you forget what being out feels like sometimes. So it's good to let your students push you, right? But so now you have the contact point. Go through the same process. Like if you have someone who's going to feed you, right? Like be a training partner that's throwing energy to you. Have them just put their hand on your chest, and then first level be able to deal with that. You know what I mean? And route the same way I said route it. Okay, now you don't have an arm to route, so one of your train rails is off. Now you only have this to the other two rails. So there's less things to work with, which you think would be easier. The problem is your body is constantly holding tension. And one of the things you can test this out with is like when you go to hug your friend or your parents or whoever, and you actually pay attention when someone hugs you, notice the state of the tension in your body. Do you get more tense? So one thing you should practice is releasing tension when you hug your friends. Like purposely open the muscles in your chest, open your heart up. Okay? So like you have to learn to take away this micro contractions from being touched. Okay? It's a natural occurrence. So like that's another thing I didn't get to mention it, but you have to understand this. There are these very, very small contractions that are happening in your body all the time that people are not aware of. And this is one of them. You're going to feel it when you pay attention. You hug your friend, your mom, or whoever it is, you know what I mean? Or anybody who goes to touch you, shake your hand, is normally a small contraction in the body. You have to get rid of that. So that's also part of Li. You have to wash from your body that they're talking about. But I don't think that they understand that's what it is. Like that's a part of it. You know what I mean? It's like that small state contraction where like it's like, oh, like someone's about to hug you and you're not used to contact. That's something you need to practice. I mean, consciously be aware of this every day, and if you're, and relieve that, because if you don't get that done, you're not gonna be able to neutralize the body. It's just not gonna happen. I should have thought of it, because this is, again, I'm glad we're having the conversation. I forgot these skills that I practice over time. Like when I said I've forgotten more than most people are gonna learn. I'm not joking. So these are things I did so many years, But yeah, so I actually spent time analyzing how the body mechanisms work, and how the body's triggered by social interactions and all this kind of crazy high sciencey crap. And that's why I condition my body to do that, so that even the smallest contraction could throw off the system, right? Because it's bandwidth. There's only so much light the pipe can take, right? Like a Cat5 cable. There's only so much the light it can take. Okay, so you have to make sure that condition is set, because that might be your problem. Because you're the guy that was training in other team, I think, right? So you already have a skill level, so you may be able to just reproduce this. But like on the outside, you might be able to just do all this stuff and be fine. But then you go to the inside, and no one's taught you about the microtension. That there's these little contraction triggers, and you have to be able to go into interoception and be that self-aware of your body that you can stop that. Okay? I think that for the body skill is the prerequisite. Like this is the prerequisite skill. Because if I touch you and you have that microtension, I can grab it because you're locked. And again, we go back to the telephone game. You have the rope, the two cans. Every time that line is stretched, I can send a wave through it. I can talk, right? I can talk, and that's why I think, I think it's funny, but it's actually true. I am talking to the fascia, right? I literally am, it's just that the reason I am able to do that because there is tension in that wire. So like I could talk to one can and it vibrates and goes to the other can. That's all it is. So in the same respect, if there's that extra tension with hiddenly, let's call it that, okay? Because you can, I'm trying to use these terms everybody's using. So if I wash the body of Lee, right? I'm sure that this guy, Minzer, has this problem with his students where they've done all the things and they're generally loose and all that stuff, but then they this little extra they can't grasp and why am I still not getting the insight? Why am I still being thrown? Why? It's because of these micro contractions, this hidden Lee stuff, that's little shakes and little twitches. I don't know if they teach, I've never seen what they teach. I'm just assuming, that this has to be a thing. It has to be something that's happened to other people. Okay? So really focus on that. I'm repeating it because it's that important. I know I'm rambling about it, but it's that important because it's so overlooked. That small contraction is only touching you. So then fine. Now from there, you want to be able to take the load and at first just be able to take a load. Do it in the split stance and the forward bow stance. And if you want to feel comfortable, and then first feel, how does it feel? Okay, where does my chest have to be? How do I route this to the ground? How do I get to the foot? Okay, how do I go from the front foot? Okay, now I'm route to the front foot. I'm going to route to the back foot. Switch. Then you go to split stance, neutral stance. Do the same thing. Have them press, and slow enough to feed you, where you can try to get the line, but still far enough that you will fall. Okay, it's like it should be that you have that threat of failure. So just enough that you can correct. You don't want it to be so much that you can't keep up with it, but it has to be just enough that you feel your body's about to go in and out. That flux state is what I'm looking for, right? And then just before you're out routing, so I feel it, and I feel where I'm in my position, and I feel where I'm just that moment before I go out, and then that's what I want to use to route. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the stream. I don't remember the Chinese term for it. There's catching Jin, right? There's a moment before you neutralize, right? So, la fa ba, whatever yours, right? So there's a moment right before neutralization, the catch point. And if you watch me do some of the stuff, like when I'm doing it for real, and you see me just grab his hand, and he touches me, and he just goes. The reason I'm able to do that is because I isolated the catch point, and I trained it. I trained that specific skill of how I allow him to touch me. It's not just how everybody else does it. You know what I mean? Because I reverse engineered these guys, and I was really trying to figure out the stages. And so one of the stages I was training is being aware of how the touch happens and what the touch is and how I allow the touch to go in before I neutralize, before I, fudging or whatever the hell it is. So that's the thing. I hope this is coming full circle. So now, fine. So now that you have that, when you start to feel good in your chest, you start to feel good in the back, where you can just deal with the sway inside. And which is why I teach this first, by the way. Anybody I teach you, I teach this skill first. The first thing I teach people is we're going right in, and I'm going to attack the big pieces first, right? So I always go right for the center, right for the chest. We're going to crack open all this shit, and I do it with force. So, my thing is to use force to understand no force, okay? This is my system. People are going to say, who's the real Tai Chi? Well, it's my real Tai Chi. Tai Chi for me. So this is how I do it. And it doesn't have to be if I say I want to use tangible forces, okay? I want it to feel like there's a little hard, a little bit of Lee, a little bit, things they can relate to. But that first skill of removing the tension and the micro contractions that are inside the system in the body, in here, is the most important thing. After you get that, it's as simple as it is in the hand. And if you're already at a high skill level and you understand what I'm saying, you can get this done in a couple of days. If you have a good training partner. It's not like a crazy thing. It's a lot more to say than it is to do, but you have to say it. So then once you get this idea, the visualization of the Tai Chi symbol, I do the same thing anywhere. Because if I have a power line routed to this back foot, and I just take the arm out of the equation, I'll have the power line routed from here to this foot. It's the same idea. So I can route through your oblique sling, You know, like, you know, this is right through the compression of the joints, right? However you want to look at the routing factor. Once you have the routing, you know, now you just, okay, fine, put the symbol there and then decide what you're going to do with it. The contact point thing, it literally, I'm doing the exact same thing that I'm doing when I touch his hand, or he touches my, it's the exact same thing, you know? And I think that it might, the reason why it feels more difficult, because remember, you have 3 springs in the arm that load before it hits your body. So if he goes to do a push, right, I'm using the arm, not only is my body, my sensory perception, mechanoception, perception, interoception is so used to using my hands, and my mind is on my hands out, right? So it's easier to deal with stuff with your hands because you're used to it. You're used to, you know, emoting and stuff. This is what we're used to doing. So there's also the 3 extra springs from the synovial fluid in the joint, and you have all these tendons and marrow. It's an extra spring. So when you remove that one spring system, obviously it's going to be a little more difficult. You know what I mean? Because you have less gears to work with. But once you get past that, you know what I mean? Then it's literally the same thing. You know, once you get past that idea of, like, you know, the you know, less things to work with, you know, it's literally exactly the same. You're just routing straight to a leg. Once you get the routing down, you just go through the exact same process. Now from here, I fill this into, like, wherever his contact could be like a dime, it could be a football. Doesn't matter what the contact patch is. Wherever that contact patch is, I just do the exact same thing. Exactly the same thing. The process never changes. So, okay. And I think I rambled about that long enough. People get pissed off at me. But if you, yeah, let me run upstairs really fast. If any other, think of some other questions. I'll hang out for a bit. Just give me 1 second. But definitely ask more questions. I'll be right back. I'm coming. Sorry about that. I left the studio window open. It's supposed to be raining, so I had to go close the window before it was too late. Okay. So any more questions? Did I answer your question good enough? I don't mind answering the questions. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what they are. So, and actually, I'm glad you guys are asking these questions. There's things I forgot that I did, and that I trained. I totally forgot. Like, you know what I mean? Because you got, you know, I after you do your prerequisite study, these things are like ingrained into you, so you don't think about it. You know what I mean? Like I forgot that I spent time with my students, and I was lucky because I had my karate students who I would have come at me. You know what I mean? And just come at me. Like, and when I, you know, you can see that one in the video from the hallway video. I'll actually post a full length of that. I actually linked it from my other channel, but you can see that I'm like, come at me, bro. That's how I trained it. You know what I mean? You're gonna come at me. I'm gonna deal with that. So, you know, there's things that I did to go up the ladder that I just forgot about. So, but yeah, okay. So, just a quick review for that. So, if you want to know about the contact, how do I do it with the chest? Do the exact same thing. Start with your push-ups from the hands. Make sure you worry about pressure sensitivity. Not worry about, like, you know, obviously your levels. You should already have your form set. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, the alignments are proper and good. If your prerequisite structures are bad, you're gonna have problems, obviously. So we're gonna assume that you have that down. I can't I can't help with that. And then just go through that process, have somebody feed you on like direct chest contact. And I would say the first thing you should do is have them put their hand on your chest and just feel like, start to notice the small contractions, right? I mean this every time someone hugs you, anytime someone touches you, pay attention to the state change, if you're twitching, if anything's going on. So that's the very first thing. I can't stress this enough, that those micro contractions, if you have any of them, will throw you off, right? So I was about to do, when I was in the clip that we did with What is Chi, right? When I'm about to let him like get a he pushes me, right? So you can see the state change, right? And I'm about to start talking, and I was gonna say, okay, and I was actually thinking, okay, I wanna like show you what's, but I didn't get to finish the sentence, and he touched me, I'm in mid-sentence, and I'm like, there's a moment I'm gonna launch him, or do I wanna like, talk, and then my back, and like, just let him like, because we're going anyway. But there's a state change, and you feel every little twitch, right? So at that moment, you can see that I'm half on and off, and you can see that there's just a little bit of tension because I'm about to start talking, and I'm thinking of 3 things at once, so I'm breaking the state, right? So the first time I let him push, because I could have fought it off, right? But I'm just like, oh, this is good. But that first moment, you can see I'm just like kind of like hobbling because I'm half on, half off. That's a good example of having small contractions, right? The next one is having like, what's the word? Like the shell, like the shell's not on, right? And then they can, so not only can they get through your barrier because there's no barrier, now they're attaching to the tensions in your body, right? So all I did was just stand up, and let him hit me. So when you see that, you can understand what I'm talking about. Like these small little contractions make the difference. But then when I say I'm gonna go back into this state, I create these mechanical conditions first, right? And then there's a mental condition. But always when I set up this thing, there's actually a thing that happens where I breathe in through my nose, because I just from the meditation all the time, I feel the air hit, and then when it gets to here, everything melts. Or it just not melts, it's like, how do I explain this? It feels like butter in a pan. Once I take that breath in, it's the butter in a pan. And like, it just, that is the most important, this little thing is the most important thing that I can ever share with you if you want to get to the level of being able to do body control. I don't know what else to call it. Body neutralization, something? I don't know what to call it. But that's the highest trick, the highest trickery. So I hope that makes sense to you. That was a good one. What else was there? So, if you really watch that, and this is like really not happy about, like if you watch it, you're gonna see what is nearly a no-touch moments, okay? Like, and it gets worse and worse as I go along through that example. And at the very end, you see it where he literally he touch contact and he goes, right? What's a good example about this, what I was trying to explain, is I guess people like to use the term astral, right? The astral energy. It's the same as the physical energy, just the molecules are farther apart, right? The pulse that I would do on the slingshot effect is the same pulse that I do when he just barely touched me, right? It's the highest frequency force I can produce, the highest ringing of the bell I can produce is that last little frame where I'm saying, if I go back to the state, this happens, okay? And I laugh because I'm like, oh fuck, they're gonna think this is bullshit. So I was like, that was why. We're in trouble now. Because it kind of is bullshit. It really is, But what I'm trying to get at is the production of force, whether I'm doing like the astral chi, whatever, if that's even what it is, okay, to where I do a full push or like the Fa Jing slingshot thing, it feels the same. The path feels the same, the energy feels the same. The only difference is time slows down because you go into like a different mental state. So it's like, and the weight, it's very, very fine or sharp. It feels like almost a knife edge. Whereas like normally they'll touch me and it feels like the whole snake skin. When they touch me at that state, it feels like there's like a razor blade on the side of my hand thickness. And it's just a wire. And the wire gets it's like a zzz, it's so it goes from this to this to this to this to zzz, zzz, zzz. That's the only way I can explain it, you know? And then eventually, you have to assume that the next level is that the vibration is so high that the energy around you, the air, is affected. So that way we assume the next level. I'm not there yet, guys, but I'm assuming this is the most logical progression of stages. I don't know yet. You're going to find out as I go along. I don't even know where it is yet, guys. So... all right, so no one's talking. I either stumped him or he like literally ran to go practice. But yeah, I think that was a good one. I can't. I don't think I can elaborate on it anymore. At least nothing good. Then there's like you've sort of I did the couch thing, and I was trying to. And half of it's because I didn't want to, I was still apprehensive about teaching it. The other half is I wasn't sure which is which. But you'll notice when I go to the couch and I do the first level, which is basically elastic collision. But then there's a point where he disconnected from me. And he's on the left side. And I have a connection, but then I'm like, he needs to go farther. And that's when I really put my intent out. And you'll see him, that's when he actually is shooting, and I turn my finger over and I point. The reason why I use the pointing is because, biomechanically, it's how your mind wants to operate. It's very easy to get the energy to go when you point, right? Because it's like, I'm pointing. So I actually do the full hand, I'm pointing my finger and I'm pointing. Or I'm pointing with these fingers like a pink, like that, So that point energy, if I just point like this, and I point like this, and eventually the point is just your mind, and it feels like the wave is coming out. This is what it feels like. But it's very difficult to tell the difference. Once you get the impulse to 0 inch, it's very difficult to feel the difference between the electrical magnetical energy versus the pulse wave. Because it's the same internal path and the sensory perception is the same. Like I don't feel like a tactile difference, except that it feels faster. It just feels faster. That's it. And at that moment, it's very difficult for me to say, well, because I'm really trying to analyze it. Because I do the Qigong stuff, but I never thought to use like the medical type Qigong energy stuff in the form because it just never crossed my mind that way. So now I'm wondering, is that force actually the Qi force now that they're talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Because it feels the same to me. Even when I do like there's an energy you use when you're doing like massage and stuff like that, where your hands will get hot and you kind of have to certain amount of pulse to it. And I don't know if that is what is propelling him at that moment, or if it's still the elastic collision and just that small little contact point's doing it. But it feels like there's a wave coming out of my heart and head that's just being thrown past the guy. So I don't know yet, because I didn't start to examine it, because I never cared to. I never thought I would be teaching this stuff or even talking about it. So I didn't analyze it to a level where I'm sure. I'm not 100% sure which is which. But what I am sure of 100% is that anything you do on the physical will happen in the astral and vice versa, right? It's like the as above, so below thing. Your energy body and your physical body, they're mirroring, you know, like the propulsion force, the lines of travel and everything are very similar, you know, like, it's the exact same path. You know what I mean? Like if I wanted to go and do a push or like a Fa Jing Shun thing, and I touch them, I send the wave out, or if I wanted to project energy, right? I can do that. It feels the same. Like I feel it. Like I feel the wave. I'm just not sure how to classify and articulate the differences in the stages of what's what and which is which. And then it's like I comment on Montauk too, because like my Qigong master didn't teach me a lot verbally, and he was like, at the time I spoke Cantonese pretty well, but he spoke Taiwanese and Mandarin. I don't understand any of that shit, and he used to be so upset. He's like, "What? I teach you more, but you can't speak like Taiwan." So he was like always upset. Like, you know, he never really upset. But I mean, because he was frustrated. He wanted to show me more stuff and explain it, but he couldn't explain it. So like how I look at like the energy production. But anyway, you know, I asked him, he was saying that he charges fire from the same place as the water. So the reason I bring this up is that if all the energies are coming from the same place, like a primordial water place, and then you're separating them to like quality, as he said. So that would reaffirm my theory that the energy pathway in production from push force is the same energy pathway to a no-touch push force. It should be the exact same mechanical thing, except that you're not moving the hands, you're moving the mind there. And that's what it feels like. And that's what it actually felt like when, you know, when I did the demo for you guys. I got carried away, I didn't want to show that stuff. But it's out, so it is what it is. And when I get to that point, so when I get to that point where I feel like I'm gonna shoot him out, that last extra, it definitely is something other than just a collision. There's something else going on, and I don't have the words for it. I just know I can just do it. So, you know, if people have been recommending the Mark Ramis, is that his name? Ramis? I hope it's Ramis, not Ramis. But and like I'm looking at it, it's like, cause you know, I saw him back in the days, and his like Wing Chun and his Tai Chi was legit as fuck. So they always said that, okay, this guy's fucking good. I don't know about his Tai Chi form, but at least the way he was showing like the basic Fa Jing exercise, like the few I saw, he was really like legit. But he has a path to it. You know what I mean? So I'm probably gonna have to go look. I'm probably gonna look at his stuff and see if I can find some other things to figure out. Cause I'm not sure 100% where we cross over from kinetic force to just the wave. And I'm not sure, since MedTech Chi actually responded to me, when I was like, holy shit, I didn't think it actually respond. But the fact that, you know, he was saying that the energies are qualities, the same energy. So is it that I'm using that chi force hiding underneath the kinetic force so that I'm feeling as if I'm just putting out a kinetic wave, but it's actually using the chi? I don't know. I'm not sure. Like there's a few moments where it was 100%, like there was something extra that wasn't, it was 100% woo. Okay, there's a couple of moments there that are really, that was just a bunch of woo. I looked at the video and I'm like, oh fuck, I should have did that. But I can't distinguish yet if there's a threshold difference or if it's really the same energy, and it's like kind of like putting fruit in a blender. You know what I mean? Like, is the fruit like, you know, if it's like, imagine like you chop up fruit to make a smoothie, right? And you have like some watermelon at the bottom, some cantaloupes, and pineapple, and you see them all stacked together and they're all in one thing, you know? Or if I blended them separately and poured them into a cup, one at a time, and they maintain their liquid condition separately, right? Or is it that they're all blended together and they're all coming out at the same time anyway, and you just happen to attach your mind to one part of it, but in reality, they're all happening at the same time anyway. So I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I'm not at the level I can describe it. You know? So, it's interesting. It's interesting. You know what I mean? Because these are things I just do. You know what I mean? So, like, I know there's a path to it, you know what I mean? But I didn't have like a perfect linear path, and then, you know, there comes a point where I'm just going every day. So like I'm not sure. So I don't want to disappoint you guys or teach you something that's bullshit. So, and if you stop any more questions, or if anything I'm saying not making sense, please stop me, because I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm making it up as I go along, you know? I mean, I'm not faking or anything, but it's new to me, because I never had it wasn't part of the plan, guys. It wasn't part of the plan, okay? I wasn't planning on teaching this stuff at all, ever. You know, like, I didn't want the heat from it and the nonsense. I felt like there was already so many guys doing it already, and whether they're woo or not, like, you know, they have legit lineages that teach only that, you know, and so I'm like, you know, who the hell am I to come in here and like rock the boat? It wasn't my intention. And now all my friends back home know, and I don't know if they're gonna hate me for it, you know, or you know, they'll be impressed, or they're gonna hate me that, you know, like, I hid it from them, you know, part of respect and part to protect them, you know, and myself. But now that it's out, you know, I know some people might be offended that I didn't show them, you know, and other people might be like competing now, you know what I mean? So I don't know how it's gonna go. It is what it is. It is what it is. But, so no questions, nothing, like there's nothing I could fix or answer for you guys while I'm here. So that's basically all I wanted to talk about, really. I've rambled about it for 2 hours. I don't know if anybody actually listens, but I'm glad you guys are here playing my psychiatrist, my counselor. I mean, just imagine this, guys. You know, like, could you imagine if people really saw me do this stuff too early, or if I talked about it, like how bad it can be? You know what I mean? Like, look, my psychic predictions, okay, there's people who've made money on them and lives were saved on them. Like, I saved hundreds of people because of me, you know, being willing to lose my digital identity and tell what I saw. And people who know and saw what I can do, like, they'll doubt it and they'll turn on you, or they'll do crazy shit, you know? So it sucks. You know what I mean? And then, I mean, I feel a little better because it's like it's hard when you're walking around hiding all the time. Like, you know, you don't talk, you have nobody to talk to about the stuff. You know, they're not gonna understand. You know what I mean? And then they don't know if you're a freak or if you're a liar, or if you're this or that, and so nothing good comes out of it. You know? So that's where I'm at. Oh, okay. Oh, you do Wing Chun. Oh yeah. You know, I said this before. I saw this Sifu Sergio guy. He was like, I saw like maybe five or 10 little clips like maybe 2-3 years ago when he first started popping up. I was like, oh, this guy's really good. You know what I mean? There's another guy. Is it Mindful Wing Chun? Is it? And I it's hard for me because, like, I don't feel that the power generators they're using are pure Wing Chun. I think it's a Tai Chi power generator. Yeah, that guy. He's really good also. I mean, there's some things he says that I found like off-putting because it's like I understand where he's coming from. It's the same idea with the the karate people and this thing. It's like oh we're this and we're special, and I didn't feel that. I felt like that's how it's supposed to be done. Like the body only moves so many ways, so it should be similar. You know what I mean? I mean, this could be aspect of like the fundamental mechanics should be the same, like because it's all the same mother-father systems, so it shouldn't be that much different. I mean, like, yeah, you have your spin on it, but it should be the meat and potatoes should be the same. And I also think that, these guys who do Wing Chun should really re-examine how the Tai Chi handset should be applied because they're forgetting that it was purposely occluded and hidden from people. They didn't want people to be able to hit people with it. So they don't see obvious techniques and things like in, just like infighting handset. They don't see it because they're conditioned and their mind's closed off. Like, no, this is how it is and that's how that is. And like, there's 400 styles of Tai Chi. They all look different. How are you going to tell me this is how it is, At least Wing Chun's like, they all look the same, except that some of them have the inside and some of them don't. You know what I mean? Some of them have the internals and some of them just don't. But they look the same at least, But yeah, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, if you're doing like Wing Chun, I mean, I don't want to disrespect any of those, Wing Chun masters because like each lineage has its own rules and they works for them. Otherwise, they still wouldn't survive. But my opinion is that real Wing Chun should have the same internal power generator Tai Chi Wing Chun, at least the Yang style Tai Chi. That's because Chen is a little different. This is the way I was taught the concepts. You know what I mean? Like the Chen guy, he specifically was very adamant about having to separate the Yang, the upper and lower, and making this opening and separation, right? And I see some Yang guys do it and some don't, right? But for the most part, I don't feel like the majority of Yang style handsets should be making a drastic opening of the oblique swing, right? You should have a trunk that moves like a tank, okay? Very similar to Wing Chun. The Tai Chi handset, the trunk is pretty much a trunk. There is some play, but it shouldn't be so drastic, like it was being shown. So, long story short, I think that, in my opinion, the correct path is the Tai Chi is the big brother and Wing Chun's the little sister. So, that's just where I go with it. So, yeah, so if you're doing Wing Chun, you definitely, you should definitely be able to get this concept done because you're doing Chi style, it's the same thing. The difference would be the speed and the contact patch change. Because when I'm rolling with Wing Chun guys, like, the contact point is very small. Whereas with Tai Chi, you can go from small to big, it changes shape. It could be, oval and roundish or more squared off. Like you can feel like there's changes. Whereas every Wing Chun guy I've ever touched hands with, the contact patch is always very small. It's always a very small little top, like, well, aside from that, it's very similar condition. So like, the idea of triangulation, having the spear energy hitting the spine, and then understanding the rebound force. And then once that contact patch is hit, you do the same mechanics as you normally would with Wing Chun. When you do your rolls and all that stuff, you can actually, instead of trying to use the symbol to create the effect, you can put the symbol on the contact patch and then do the appropriate response move. So whatever you do, like you're in contact, you go to a bong sao. When you have that contact patch, instead of you trying to get the effect, what you do is put your mind on the contact patch and see where the normal program response takes you in the opponent, and relate that to the contact patch on the yin yang. So you make this move and then see, oh, this side became empty on the bong sao, this side became full, and when that happened, that happened. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's the same thing. I just downloaded the idea of using the yin yang symbol directly. Right? This is something that nobody taught me that there were just times in meditation where you would call them spirit guides. They come and they tell you things and they show you things. Like there's techniques that I was actually just given. That's the only way I can explain it to you. Everyone's gonna say it's bullshit. I just take the story for what you want. You don't call it bullshit, but that's the experience I had. Maybe you could say that my entire life of reading and researching, my subconscious created this condition where I created this alter Taoist master from the fucking 108th level, and they decided to come down and grace me with some stuff, or it was actually a real external being, whichever one you want to call it. This is how I got it. It was during meditation. I was specifically asking about the theory. So you consider talking to myself, it's fine, but this is how it came out. So maybe my subconscious created an avatar in my head and took all the information from my, training and made this little being guy, and so maybe it was just a whole mind fuck like that, but or it was legitimately some ancestor who came down and told me. Okay, whichever one it is. But it really does feel like there's something outside of you that is giving you information. So that's the way I would explain it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'll tell how I want to. But that's how I got it. So yeah, just do the normal form, do your normal things, and then whenever you have a contact patch, feel the contact patch, and then imagine the rotation and the displacement from that contact, and see, well, what happened there? Like if you're, in this position, you roll to a tower, right? And you're doing this roll, and you're on the contact, and you feel the change. Put your mind there and say, what is actually happening? What side's emptying? What side's filling? Like where's the energy going, and how's that reacting to the person? And start to think that way. And make sure that because it's like I know it's maybe my ego, but the last at least 5 years, there's a lot of these guys that are stealing my shit and don't give me any credit, and their channels got bigger than mine. Like the mid-tier channels, not as big as the guys what I'm talking about. And it's like, I'm the first one who's ever really hitting the bag. I'm the first one who's ever really doing it, like, at least on YouTube, the way I do it. There's other specific techniques and phrases that I use that you can tell that these guys came after me, and they obviously not giving me credit. This is something that was given to me specifically. So if you catch anybody using it and they're not giving me my just credit, just give me credit. I don't want money. Just remember I suffered for this shit. Just a little bit of credit. I don't even mind people taking my shit and using it, but just give me a fucking shout out, you scumbags. Give me something. At least you guys, you're thankful. I appreciate you guys. There's a lot of these fucking guys are scumbags, man. You're giving me an idea, help me a lot. I can see the difference between hitting the pattern and potting people. Right. Yeah, definitely. It definitely makes a huge difference. So if you're up to that level, there's different pumps. So let me make sure you keep my foot. So you have the foot pump, right? So go backwards. You have your foot pump, so getting that wave, right? You can shift your knee, right? You can shift the hip and the foot and the knee at the same time, right? You can do the rotations, and then you use the thoracic cavity, and these are all separate pumps you can power with. So as an exercise, segment them from the ground up. Say, this is what happens when I just use my foot. This is what happens when I just use my knee. This is what happens when I just use my hip. This is what happens when I just flex my shoulder blades. Right? Then try to get them all at once. So it's everything opening, closing, shifting, shunting, spinning at one time. So that'll add another level to it. I don't remember when they do the pole pot, is it just the double push this way, or do they describe it from any position? Because I remember when I first heard about this years ago, it was taught how's the name of this? We had this move in karate also. I forgot the name of it, but that's the idea. I don't know if they have a separate thing, or if it's only for the palm, like that weird little hand push thing. I don't remember the classifier in Wing Chun. But anyway, I'm just glad it works for you. Okay, you can do it with any of the movements. Okay. That's what I wanted to make sure. That's what I wanted to make sure. It is with any of the movements. I know you can physically, but the people are really like, snooty with words. I don't want to say it wrong, so I wasn't sure if Popeye just pushing, you know what I mean, in general, or just from that one hand position. I don't even name it a hand position. You know what I'm talking about, right? Just that half up, half down thing. But I wasn't sure if it's like any time as a push force or just like that weird little shape that they made. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So it's the same concept. You know what I mean? It should be the same concept. We have different power generators from like big pushes to just open close extension reflexes. And they're all viable options. The problem is that some schools are like, this is the only way. This school, this is the only way. And they're right for their lineage, but they're wrong saying it's the only way in existence. It's stupid, Like, I always go back to this. A bad technique can be useful if you do it with, like, serious intentions. Look at UFC. There's a lot of shitty technique that lays people the fuck out, okay? Like, street fights, a lot of shitty technique lays people out, So I tend to be like, yeah. Let them get away with a little extra. Okay, that just came up really late. That's really weird. I got an extra little thing. What do you want, Uncle? Here you go. You just had to sit there staring at your bowl. That was so pathetic. The cat wants water, and I want him from yelling at me, and he's just sitting at the bowl, just staring at it. Like, Dad's gonna come eventually. Hey, Osvaldo. Oh, that's the guy. How you doing? Do you use yin yang symbol when you want to get the other person stuck to you? No. So that's okay. So what is it? Wa fa ba, whatever. Like it's neutralize and you fight and you transform. I don't remember exactly how they do it, right? But I was talking about it before in the beginning of the stream, which you really should probably rewind, I guess. Is I break it down to an instance before I neutralize, which is called catching, right? The catch force. So. Is that what the log says in your filtering out? Yeah, I know what you mean. Your feet leave the ground for the first time. Oh shit! I know what you're talking about. I need to go back to his question, right? So to get the guy stuck to nah, right? There's a couple of stages, but I feel like these high-level guys are doing this catch force. They put them all together. All I did was isolate that and train that specific, how do I catch his force, right? So there's like, you can think of it like, do I want to catch his force like an egg, right? And if I catch his force like an egg, is the egg hard-boiled? Is it, uncooked? Or is it just a yolk, okay? And there's different qualities. Am I catching, a piece of glass, egg, right? So if I'm grabbing someone throws a piece of glass at you, how do you catch it? Okay. If someone throws a piece of sharp glass at you, how do you catch it? If someone throws something really heavy at you, how do you catch it? The way that I'm gonna catch someone's force is dependent on the force being projected. So that's a separate skill that I trained. Like I actually was playing with. When I say training, I allow people to come at me, and I constantly analyzing. Okay, how does it feel? Is he stretching my skin? Am I going to allow him to ride up and down? Am I going to meet him and overpower him? There's different methods of the attachment, the instance of contact. Okay, the getting stuck part. There's a couple of reasons for that, but the majority is twofold. It's either A, he's compressed, so he gets compressed and his joints becomes smaller, so his body's leaning in. He really doesn't have anywhere else to go. He's already at the last extension point. He's already pushed himself out, but then he's compressed. There's nowhere else. He doesn't have any more out force, right? So then you just kind of stick to him and a little bit of extra, and he can't unlock himself, because now not only is he's past his point of no return on his out point, but he's been compressed and he's, you know what I'm saying? So he has nowhere else to go and he just like gets stuck. And then he's using you for his balance. So it's all these things happening at it's a probably half of, it's like a 0.05 of a fucking second. Just it's a blink, and all this stuff just happened. You know what I mean? So it's more that I've allowed him to attach himself, and then you use sticking and following energy. This is called following, right? So even if I'm not moving, there's still motion, right? So even in stillness, there's motion. So if he touches me, he's not actually still. There's like there's like all this stuff happening. So that's another issue with this. But I think the first stage is not so much to worry about getting him to stick to you as like that's the skill you want to master. Is more about getting the prerequisite conditions that make that happen on accident, because that's sticking but stuck energy, where his shoulder gets locked, right, and he can't go anymore. Like you could feel it. He's just like he just can't let go. He can't go forward. It's a moment where he's like, you know what I mean? And yeah. So it's more of a setting up the conditions to allow that to happen to himself. That the nudging, nah. So nah. So here's the thing. Also, like nah just means to seize and capture, right? So I can do active nah or passive nah, right? So what I mean by that is, when you see me do that touch, it's a semi-passive thing. I create this condition and he touches me, and then that it happens as a result of me attacking his spine again, routing to that line to his spine. That compressive force, that nah of the joints happens on accident. Then there's active nah, when like, okay, there's a contact point, and then I'll slightly change the contact angle, which causes either a compression or extension of a tendon or a joint. So that's another method. So it's active versus passive. I have a question about the Fajing wall video. Should the palm pressure not be opposite to when using on a person because it's a mirror rebound force? No, actually, that's a good question. No, it's actually the exact same thing, except there's an inanimate object, and oh shit, I got my phone on the charger. Oh boy, and crap. I hope this doesn't break. Give me a second, guys. I have to charge this. Oh, shite. All right, I gotta be careful because this is the broken one from the last stream. Sorry. Oh crap. Boy, for a kung fu match, I can really fuck things up, right? All right, let me see. Okay, you stay in there. Okay. So, how can I do this shit? I don't have a way to do this for you right now. It's the same thing, but one thing I do is that when I'm normally, my sensation of being rooted, I'll generally be at least like 3 to 6 inches past my feet contact on the ground. When I go to do this, I take my root up a little bit. So like I'm still rooted, but I'm not going inside the ground like I would if I'm actually have an opponent. Like I release some of my root. You know? So I'm still rooted, but I'm not like focusing on going down in the earth and like really spreading my roots out. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm there. That's one thing. But the rebound force, let me see, I'm trying to think. Because I'm thinking like if I'm doing, let's just say I'm using that concept of the symbol, and I want to use pung, right? To get pung, I unload the top and fill the bottom. So I get this roll, right? If I was to do that on the wall and do that effect, because the energy is not being displaced, it's returning to me in the mirror image. So the shape I would use for Peng would become An in me. If that makes sense, right? Because I put this force into the wall and the mirror comes back, it's going to fill up the yin side. So now I'm going to have a downward force. So yes, if that's what you mean, you're correct. So by applying the pressure here, right, what would normally give me Peng, if the wall is going to be a down circle, so it would really push me up. When I do this exercise, I just do it flat, like a G. You know what I mean? It's just a straight impulse wave. I don't use this yin-yang model, right? Because it's a training tool just to get the feeling of throwing the wave, the rebound. So I didn't actually apply the yin-yang theory to that. But if we were going to, it really would be a mirror image. But since I've only ever used G, the mirror image is linear, so I never thought about it. So that's a really good fucking question. It's a really good question. I never thought about it. So that's the answer. Sorry it took me so long to get to that answer, but I had it mulling over for a second. Okay? So what actually I'm doing is when I'm practicing now, I haven't done that in years. Just a little game, you teach, just give somebody an idea. But the idea is G. I'm only using G, right? I'm triangulating and squeezing to a point, or I'm squeezing straight flat 50-50, and then I'm just opening that angle, which I guess is the same yin-yang theory, but it's not, I wasn't thinking of it. I'm more just worrying about the rebound and getting the feeling of the collision. So it's definitely a mirror image, and if you were to use that yin-yang shape, the resultant force you feel will be the exact opposite force that you would feel in the opponent. Okay, good. I'm not sure if I got it, so if you got it, we're good. Because that one had me thinking, that one had me a little fucked up right there. Yeah, that one had me stumped for a second. I had to really mull it over. I'm really impressed by you guys, because the few of you that actually have been following, interacting, all of you guys have said that you've had good results with the video lessons. So, which is, I wasn't sure how that would come out, you know what I mean? Cause when I did those, you know what I mean? I put it up more for historical reference, you know what I mean? Just in case something happens, my students have it and people would have it, you know what I mean? So I wasn't doing that with the idea that so many people actually follow it, you know what I mean? So it's nice to see that people are using it and it makes sense to them. So that's a good thing, so I appreciate you guys, you know what I mean? But again, some of these things, it's been so long since I've had to analyze them to this level for people that I forgot. I fucking forgot. I'm not gonna lie to you, I forgot. It's inside my body, and it just sometimes this stuff just comes out. I'm like, oh wait a second, I forgot I even knew that. It's a surprise to me sometimes. But I appreciate you guys, And if you guys haven't, join the Discord and tell your buddies to come in. I think we got almost 40 people now. I think 40. I mean, I'm saying when we get to 100, then we get some going. I'm trying to get. I already spoke to a couple of instructors on YouTube. I mentioned it to them. Some pretty decent sized names, and I do know some people. So once we get enough people in the group, I'm gonna invite them to come and do seminars and hopefully promote their classes and get. Because another thing about my teaching, I've always been a very strong proponent of I don't believe in this idea that you only have one style, one teacher. It's not. Yes, you could have your primary lineage, and that's your master, and you follow that, which I have. But I also believe that you have to go out in the world and cross-train and experience other things. You know what I mean? So. It's just I don't have this. I don't know. I don't feel this stuckness of I don't get it. You know what I mean? So my goal with the Discord would be to get instructors coming in at least once a month to give free classes, promote their school and help fix a lot of this messes in the Tai Chi world. That was really the goal. You know what I mean? And there's some interesting characters in there, so would definitely consider checking it out if you have a chance. All right, you guys have anything else going on? It's Friday night. We had 2 hours already. Holy shit. Okay, I'm glad I went this long. I was thinking about like just chatting for 30 minutes and it became a 2-hour fucking stream. Oh boy. All right, I wish I could have did more demos for you. All right. So you guys watched the full demo thing. Was there any points that you thought were like, you know, most interesting or things that would be where to go with the channel? Like any suggestions like that or anything like any other stuff that like would be interesting would always be good suggestions. Ah, awesome, thank you. All I ask, please, is that people remember my name, because there's so many people who stole my shit on YouTube already, and they don't even give me a shout out, nothing. Tap in the back. I appreciate you guys. You know, I'm glad, you know, take it, pay it forward. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I do. I really do. I mean, that's why I do this shit. So it is what it is. That's like, you know. But I feel blessed the fact that, you know, yes, Alpha, the fact that you guys actually get it, and so many of you guys are getting it, and it's not, because it's also a difficult thing. Like my take on this stuff is so different than everybody else, and I do come from a lineage, but it's not one of these traditional Wudang mountain shits, like, you know, all these other fancy guys. So everybody gives me shit all the time. So I'm not really sure how my explanations come out. Everyone seems to grab it and they think it works. So I appreciate you guys being the test dummies. So if it works, that's all I get. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, if you have any other stuff, what do you think about? Oh, that's the guy. That's the fucking guy. When I put my recommended channels up, I'm like, there's another guy I want to put up there. I'm like, what the fuck is his name? What's his name? Like the chubby guy with the weird music in the beginning. I'm like, that guy. What's his name? Oh my god. For the whole fucking week, I've been trying to remember his name. That's the guy. I remember when he first started. He was like, you know, he was pretty good. But yeah. Well, what's his name? Babak. Okay, Babak. No, I'm glad it helped, and all I'm doing is repeating the classics. Okay, like that stuff's out of the classics. It's not like I didn't make that up. You know, Iron Rep and Cotton. You know, that's straight out of the classics. It's like fundamental Tai Chi theory. So, but if somehow I delivered it in a way that helped you, I'm glad. As for Ian Sinclair, I think I thought it's like the stuff that I saw him do was very, very good, you know? But there was like, cause I stopped watching videos the last 4 or 5 years. I haven't kept up with anybody, but I saw a couple of clips like, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. I don't know exactly, because the time has been really messed up for me since I got here and the lockdown and the injuries and stuff. Like the time has been really strange. I don't know exactly how long ago it was that I saw him last. But like most of his stuff was really on the money. There was one thing that, you know, I saw him. He started to go into this idea that the form doesn't matter as much anymore, and it irks me that really good guys get to that place. And explaining, one of my close friends, I used to like my what do you call it? Like in the anime, you have like your rival. You know what I mean? He was a little older than me, and he did, you know, some kung fu systems. So we used to spar all the time. But one thing he told me that his master warned him about is that there comes a point in your training, this happened to me, where you're so far ahead of almost everybody. It looks like they're like trained like fighters and hitmen and assassins, that you don't need your technique anymore. You know what I mean? Like you have the chess game so well done that you don't need half your shit. So it's very easy for you to get away with getting sloppy, not using the form, and manhandling normal people. So you can be out of alignment, right, and get away with it because everyone around you doesn't have the game. So it's like if you're really good at Pengwu Jian and you're like wrestling somebody who doesn't have it, if you're decent, they shouldn't have a chance. Like every time they touch you, they're just like They're not there. This is something's broken. But then you internalize these conditions, and you can get away with doing it outside the alignment. The problem is that now when you go up against someone who really knows their shit, you're fucked. Because the person who has the handset is going to beat the person who doesn't have the handset when the internal conditions are equal. So that's the thing that I was disappointed when I saw this Ian Sinclair guy. Because when I first saw him, he was in like a tournament, and he was really like expressing form shapes and like, you know, using the form shapes against like actual people. And that's why I was like, oh, all right, he's like one of us. He gets it. And I saw him a little later on, he's like, you know, he's a little more things and more. He's like, oh, I'm just doing the thing. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm just saying that this is a very easy trap to fall into, where you stop your conditioning training and you start to let go of technique because you only need 3 techniques to beat everybody. You know what I mean? Because if they're uninitiated people, they don't know shit. They're like retarded toddlers, like trying to walk around. So yeah, I can just like, you know, touch their hand and throw them off. But what happens when you get somebody who's a badass, who has handsets, who has their shit together? You know, you got rid of your fail-safe. You know what I mean? Like you got rid of that condition. So that's the thing that made me a little not happy about the Ian Sinclair thing. But thank you for reminding me his name, because I'm going to put him on the list, because he's an OG on YouTube, and his demos were really good, at least when I remember watching him. So I was actually trying to find his fucking channel. I just remember that music. And I'm a musician, so things like that stick with me. Like, I just remember that, like, this corny fucking guy. This guy a cornball. You know, but it's endearing, so I'm going to add him to the list. Thank you. And if there's anybody else that's epic or did stuff, remind me, you know, or post in the comment, hey, do you know this guy? Because, you know, it's a good reference point, because everyone comes to the channel and it's like, all right, I don't have to tell them, get this thing. It's just like, go look at the fucking recommended channels and leave me alone. That's why I teach you the same shit's been taught 40 times. I mean, you can figure it out. But yeah, I liked him in general, so he gets a 9 out of 10. You know what I mean? If you ask me for a score card, I'd give Ian Sinclair like an 8.5 out of 10, you know? An 8.5. I have to lower the score because I you know, he has some tough competition up there, you know? You have like Yang Chae-min, who's like you know, he's definitely like he's scoring a 10. You know what I mean? Like Rante Chia has a 10, you know what I mean? Like he's competing with gods, you know? So an 8.5 on this scale is going to be high. You know what I mean? Did I miss anything? Okay, yeah, I think I got it. Yeah, so I'll add him. There's another guy I found that I want to add also to the list. Ache Research. ACHE Research. I just found this channel a couple of days ago. I don't know if it's listed or not. Yeah, Yang Jae-min's a fucking... He's... It's funny because, you know, there's things that I learned from watching him that I forgot, that I picked up, like the handshake. I was trying to remember where the fuck I got this handshake from. And I got it from him. I couldn't remember where the hell it came from. There's just so many fucking pieces that I put together over the years. I can't remember where everything comes from, you know? But he's a fucking legend of like beyond assortment, and it's so ridiculous that people don't know his name. This guy who do Tai Chi for 20 years, I have no idea who he is. Like, you are on your fucking mind? Like, oh my god. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it how you don't know who that is. Like, I would argue that he would probably be like any of the top 3 best known masters of Tai Chi still aren't equal to him. You know what I mean? The only thing I never saw him do is any of the Wu stuff at all, now that I'm thinking about it. But he talks about it, but I've never seen it. Whenever you contact someone's arm, when you create the stretch reflex, the person's force starts rebounding automatically. Wait. Let me think about this a second. Yes and no. Okay. So, okay. Again, same thing as how I explained na or seizing. There's a passive and there's an active. So there's certain conditions where he will passively bounce. And a lot of it has to do with the alignment of the touch point and that yin yang thing again. Sometimes if you have just your proper bridge and it has the proper mechanics, they'll touch you and just from the displacement of the angle, they're just gonna pop. Sometimes you actually have to mechanically do the thing. So it's both. It's both. It's not because sometimes there's certain conditions where it is and certain conditions where it isn't. On the outside, looking in, it's the same. So there's moments where I'll do the same posture, the same alignment, same internal thing, up and up. You're gonna hit my thing. Thank you. I'm talking to the cat. So on the outside will look the same, but you know the internal condition is different. So it's both. It's both. There's certain times where they pop on their own. There's certain times when you do a mechanical adjustment, and certain times you do, add some Fa Jing into it. And they're all viable options, but you shouldn't think there's only one way. You know what I mean? And there's even a method to use Li, where you spring and then you use actual just fucking Li, because you can do the same idea where you catch him and then and stretch the joint, and I call it getting triple yaw, where you then lock the three hinges, right? It's another thing, if you can make contact with three hinges, any three hinges, the body wants to break down. It's another little secret trick, I should have shown that. But, because let's just say he grabs me, right? And he has a straight arm and he's locked in. There's different ways, depending on how I'm mechanically aligned, that he can rebound from the springiness of my joint, push himself off from the solidity of the joint, like super stable. He can push himself off like you push off the wall in an exercise. You know what I mean? There could be the spring effect where he's mushy and he bounces from the spring. And then there's the manipulation of the contact point, and then there's catching and routing a Fa Jin wave through. So they're all correct. They're all correct. So you have to, and I think that they all should be practiced. Because I just mix them all together naturally at this point, which is why I was trying to explain in the beginning of the stream. I'm not sure, on the couch example, for instance, you'll see one of the last touches when I get him in the left hand and I bring him over. But then I'm about to lose the contact, and I'm trying to describe how, looking back, I don't know if it's exactly how I did it, but I'm at this place, I feel him, and I add the extra at that point. And you can see I point, and then my intent is there, and he fucking shoots. And so you'll see it that I'm using all of them at different times. You know what I mean? I don't have this is the one method. It's sometimes it happens this way, sometimes it happens this way, and you need to know them all. You need to know them all. And that's part of the reason why I separated from Wa doesn't point before, and the skill of catching and how you receive a touch is a completely overlooked skill that's combined with the neutralize most of the time, and I don't agree with that. So as long as that's what, okay, I answered that then. So yeah, as long as the proper, so to wrap it up, as long as the proper mechanical alignments are there, you can't do any of this shit. Okay, you can't, if the body is broken and misaligned, you can't do it. However, there's ways to take what feel like unnatural alignments and make them work. But they only happens from building up the mechanical alignments that are supposed to work. I can be all twisted and messed up and create a closed chain line. I can be all twisted on one foot like this and still do the Fa Jing now. But it's only because I've spent, internally you have to use Li and strength to keep these alignments intact. You know what I mean? It's cheating. You know what I mean? Because you know how these guys are. You can't use any Li, you can't use any this. So if you want to go with that model, where there's no lead and no force, then you have to have perfect alignment. Because once you go a little bit off, you are contracting and you're doing all kinds of shit to sustain that pathway. And one thing I'll note about that is that when you're in a misalignment and you route a pathway, you're routing a single linear path. You're not in this 360 field anymore. You've now limited yourself to this one path at that one moment in that one instance. Whereas when you're in proper alignment, it's everywhere. It's always in every direction. So he can come here, he can come here. But if I'm out and he touches me and I force a line through internal contractions and shit, you can't go, there's nothing else. Because you've now used all the extra shit to make this line that didn't exist. So that's important. I'm going to stop there. All right, so I think that's a lot. Any other questions? I'm really happy. This is like I forgot even knew how to do any of this shit. I forgot even knew any of this shit. Right? It's been so long since this stuff even came out of my mouth. Oh my god, he's sitting on the toilet. So, what do you think about Wikijin? Oh, Wiki, it's another one. Oh god, I gotta write this down. Hold on. Ian Sinclair. Yeah, he was really good also. Now, this is what I'm trying to explain. People don't understand my mentality. Because I'm not one of these people, and I think completely different than everybody else. They don't understand me. My issue would be that as a martial art, they're not practicing it as a martial art. They're practicing it as a biomechanics study that will work in some conditions, right? And at the highest levels, they can make it work as a full martial art. I've seen some of this, and they can make it. But I don't see them teaching the handsets as a response to danger. So a lot of people who say I use too much Lee or whatever it is, when I play with them in push hands, they're not treating push hands the way Wing Chun teaches Chisao, or like, what do you call it in Kali? I forgot the name of it. But it's not taught to deal with danger in life or death. That's my only problem. Not a problem, but like I would, prefer. But at the same time, again, as long as the people practicing are not telling people it does something that it doesn't do, or it's made for something that it doesn't do, or goes against the classics, it's an expression of the Tao. So I respect it as it is, you know what I mean? And obviously the guy has an amazing set of skills for that lineage and that subset. You know what I mean? I just feel that, it should have a little more actual martial aspects. But that's not what he does, and that's fine. You know what I mean? I've seen some of his students that can throw down a little bit, but that's my point. So I think he's actually really good. From what I remember, again, I haven't seen or heard from that guy in 3-4 years. They don't even know if he's still around. There's that guy, Bruce Francis. That's the other guy I gotta remember. I gotta put him on there also. That Bruce Francis guy, he's from New York also. I forgot about that guy. That guy's a fucking beast. That guy is severely underrated in Tai Chi. And just in general, that Bruce Francis guy is severely underrated. He's like, I have to say, I hate to say it, I think he gives Yang Chengmin a run for his money. He's not a Yang Chengmin, but he's pretty damn close. His level of skill and understanding and historical reference and I'm working. But his level of skill and historical reference is really high. So Yeah, I gotta find his channel. But yeah, so those are definitely good guys. Did you say anything else? But yeah, that's my thing, you know. I think that I also don't know if I actually. Oh, there's one guy. What the fuck? Genius Asian. Genius Asian. That was the channel. Hold on. That was the channel, and it's like this guy has like a bunch of like weird videos, but then this one set of videos was like, I guess this is teacher and master guy, and they do water tai chi or something, and his explanations are really good, like stuff that I figured out from the push hands meets, like, and just like doing, he explained like really well. It actually helped me. So I was like, I felt it and I saw it, and then he explained the thing with the physio ball. I'm like, that's the thing, that's the thing. I was like, I was all excited. So that was all, you know, that was a good one. So I recommend him also. I don't remember his name or anything like that, but yeah. So that's that. The thing that pisses me off is that like I had other channels, like 2 other channels, like I got deleted when Google bought YouTube. I had like stashes of like crazy, like old, like, you know, like old videos, like the 70s shit, and like, you know, and there was some real good, like, good stuff. I forgot I could find those videos and make a playlist because there was some good shit. Some really crazy stuff. But when it comes down to the woo, the highest level is that Lama Dondri. I don't know how to pronounce those damn names. I remember his name was Peter Young, Dr. Peter Young. And that guy made Yan Chang Min like, you know, I don't know, man. And he does all the woo, like the super woo. Like there's so much woo that you have to say this is bullshit. Just look up a discourse on the Heart Sutra, okay? Because that was where a lot of the concepts, I mean, I saw that video, I don't know how long it was, 10, 20 years ago, whatever it was. And immediately is when I was like, I felt it, like, oh. And at that point on, I hit it. You know what I mean? And I was afraid to even practice any more than I got because it presented spiritual problems I didn't have protection for. So. Oh yeah, that guy Tom Mitch. I would love to recommend him for an ass whipping. I gotta be honest with you. I've seen him around for a long time, but I was never had any connection or interest to watch more than like I saw like some, I don't know, some tout, whatever it was, and I saw him like talk for like 30 seconds. I couldn't watch it, and then recently I saw him doing an interview with the Adam Linder, and I was just like, something about it, like I have to say, like it made me really not like the guys in that interview. It was something about it, I didn't like his energy. You know what I mean? That's what it is. But just the idea that he came out of his face like that, it's just so weird, man. It's just so weird. And that makes me wonder, like, I don't even know if it's worth trying to make friends with any of these people, these channels, because it really, just the last 2 months alone has really changed my outlook on the community as a whole. You know what I mean? And I just don't, I lost a lot of respect for a lot of people that day. When that Donald Mitchell guy opened his mouth like that, like I didn't know him, but I knew of him. And the fact that he would just, that he showed his inside intention, his spirit. And if that's who he really is, and that's who's the gatekeepers right now, we're mortal enemies. I'm the exact antithesis to this guy. You know what I mean? Because it's like Satan hides is an angel of light. So the light has to be in the dark. I'm the exact opposite of this guy. I come up like an asshole, but I actually have the spiritual background that I actually can implement it and use it and actualize it in my hands. These guys talk a good fucking game, but inside they're filthy spiritually. They're pigs. It's disgusting. So that's how I feel about him. And I doubt that would change. You know what I mean? Like, I generally don't hold grudges unless I have to. Like my bitch, I have to hold a grudge on principle now. Until the day he dies, he's gonna be my bitch. And I was gonna teach him a lesson. But that's on principle. But I realized that he's mildly retarded after he made his last comments. Like, it was obvious there's something wrong with the guy, so now I kind of feel bad, in a sense, because he must be mildly retarded. But here's my question. Do they all know each other? Liang Dewa. Oh yeah, Liang Dewa. That guy's good. That guy's legit. That guy's legit as fuck. No, like, when I see him, like, what I'll say about him, and also I'm the same, like, I look at it from a trainer perspective. Like, when I look at people's video, like, I know as a trainer, like, I'm working in companies and stuff like that, and I'm, like, dealing with sports, people, and when I analyze the body mechanics for the lineages are fucking on the money. Like, Adam Menzer and the Liang guy, like the Yang Dewa guy, like, Li Jin guy, body mechanics are like, when you look at the internal structures, are fucking on the money. They really are. You know what I mean? The guy's like, it's solid as fuck. But I think there's holes in that lineage from a grand scheme of things. But his performance of the lineage is a fucking 10. There's no doubt of it. Like, the way his muscle control, stability, how everything works, his teaching skills, this guy's an animal. But that's what I think of him. The guy's a beast. I should probably add that guy to the list too. But I was trying to pick just like the random people I can think of at first, Like, obviously I put Richard Clear and the Jersey Tai Chi because they're my friends, so I put them on the top because I know them. You know what I mean? So obviously I put them on the list because I actually know them, and Richard Clear is a really good instructor. So I figured that would be good for people. And I was just thinking, I wanted to fill up the space with at least one of each kind, And there'll be things for different reasons. That was the goal, yeah. So maybe I'll add all these guys later also. But yeah, he's good. He's fucking really good. Oh my god. What the hell's that guy's name? Ma something. Gerardo Masario. IAT? I'll check that out. See if I spell that shit. No. Marcelo. Marcelo. Okay, you can see that. Oh, because I'm blind. Good job. If you're into body mechanics and stuff, you definitely want to go with Tom Myers from Anatomy Trains and FMS, Functional Movement Systems. Okay, so that's why I got one of my certifications from them. They're really good. So it's something you should look into. Oh, Alexander Technique. That I know of. I haven't heard that in 15 years. Holy shit. I haven't even heard anybody say that at all. I forgot that it existed. Who else is really good? What? You wanna come up? Come up, Akko. Come say hi. Come my friends. Say hi. Can you say hi? You bitch. Fine. This one's fine. I'm talking to people, dude. I have to go and feel it. Yes, that guy. That guy. Kind of chubby, right? His woo was on the next level. Like he was one of like the old guys like from back in the day. I remember his name. Like when I first started like looking into this stuff. Is it 20 years now? Is it 20 years? There was a site before YouTube. I don't remember the name of it. That's where I first started seeing the Tai Chi videos. Like, fuck was the name of the site? And I remember I used to rip the videos like FL Player or something, or something Player. But there was a site, a YouTube site that was before YouTube, and there was like some decent shit there. I don't remember the name of it for my life. But Ma Liang, that guy, kind of chubby. You always had used to wear the cab driver hat. Yes, that guy, 100%. That's the guy. That's another one. Who else was there? Like there's a bunch of like. And you know who's also pretty good? It was really good. The guy from Australia, Montagro. How the fuck you say this guy's name? But he had passed, and his son is still teaching it. He was like really good, except that I told his son the same thing. You know, guys, gotta stop using the karate punch reference because you're wrong. Like you didn't do karate, and you're comparing it to some fake sport modern shit. Oh, Mantak Chia is the man. I have him on the channel already. He actually responded to me like 2 days ago, or maybe it was yesterday. So like I commented on his page. He actually responded, and I was like, "Oh shit! I didn't think he was gonna respond." So yes, but how do you say his fucking name? Managwe? That guy. So he was really fucking good, you know? The only thing I ever could say that I just didn't like was how he would talk about karate styles. And I was like, you're assuming that the modern sport karate is like how it's supposed to be done, you know? It's not how I ever learned any karate. And the fact that they have no rule at all, there's zero rule. But that's, you know, like, but aside from that, again, I always go back to, it's an expression of the Tai Chi. It's an expression. So it's like, it falls in the realms of being one variation expression. So it's not wrong. I just wish that they were more open to the woo, you know? At the same time, I wish the guys who are doing the fucking woo would pay attention to those guys because they actually hit people. That's my mentality. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to get it. I don't understand. Is it because I look funny that people assume? I don't understand. Yeah. But Montego. Okay, Montego. So it's a G, not a Q. Dude, I'm trying to talk. Please. Did I not feed you enough? Fine. That. Yeah. You must be starving if you're bitching that much. He acts like his dad doesn't feed him. Just please, okay? Fat fuck gets fed all the time. Because now there's people watching. You want to go make, like, you're going to call it fucking CPS? Is that your problem? It's like, come. Goo like shrew. So it's a G, not a Q. That makes sense. That actually makes a lot more sense than I thought it did. But, yeah, he was really good. You need water, Fatso? Yeah. Yeah, goo like a screw. Let me ask you guys, generally speaking, right? What are good days and times to stream for like the Tai Chi people? Like Eastern Standard, if you can convert it there. Again, I haven't been part of society most of my life, but now for the last 4.5 years, I've really been outside society. I have no idea what the hell is going on, like at all. I really don't know what people are doing. Like I'm just like a complete outsider to everything now. It feels like I'm an outsider to even people who know me. Like like they forgot about me and shit. Like So I don't know where to start. Like the times is best for people. I'm still trying to figure out what people are gonna like, digest and want and handle. The fact that so many of you are actually interested in the other stuff, like and it's nice to see because like so far, like the people have been very open to both like the fighting handset and the woo, So I was actually surprised because for the most part, all I've gotten was shit. So, but yes, does any of you guys have any questions about stuff from the stream, the demo, or anything I missed? For me, this is very good. Okay. So this actually that won't be so bad. Like I used to stream until 3, 4 in the morning. Like not on my game show, but my Facebook live streams, we would go over it was basically a mix of news, analyzing news broadcasts and teaching like body language reading and NLP and metaphysics stuff, and we'd go every day from 11 to 3 during lockdown until they banned me day before the election. Wonder why. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do more. I'll do more of these because then it's like I like to see people actually show up and then interact, and I don't have to guess where people are at, and then it'll help get more content. I know nobody's gonna sit through how long this has been. This has been 3 hours. I mean, this is maybe good that it's so long because people get bored and they won't actually pay attention because I said a lot of stuff that I don't really want everybody to know. So. And I'm just hoping. I mean, look. I mean, now that I've come out of the woo closet, we're gonna see the response because right now it's like 400 views on that live stream and nobody's saying anything. So people are talking shit right now in their little private groups because these scumbags. Not only they have Reddit and Facebook, but they're all working together and trying to gang up on me and other channels. I know for a fact that some of these bigger names and these people go out of their way to hurt smaller channels. Okay? Like they target us. So I'm expecting it, but I'm hoping that, I put them in a position where they really can't fuck with me now. Because they were gonna try to play this fucking game, and it's like if you try to make me look fake, you're only gonna open the door and advertise for me to prove that I'm real. So they can't do that. And now, with that demo out, it is what it is. You can't hide the skill. Oh, so you're an hour ahead. That's not enough. Wait, is it one in the day, like daytime, or at nighttime? So is it 1300 or is it 0100? That's what I want to know. Because Argentina is South America, so you should be. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. It should be because you're in Argentina, so it's like right off the edge east. Yeah. Don't ask me to do geography at 1 in the morning, guys. I can barely fucking stand it. Yeah, so. No, I can definitely do this kind of stuff. So, especially evenings is definitely better for me because I can handle all my shit. So, yeah. All right. I probably should get ready to sign off just because we've gone on for 3 hours and I doubt highly that these mutants are gonna pay attention this long, because most of these people, I can't believe how many lazy people there are that they just don't want to do the effort to research stuff. You know, if I was you guys, I'd be fucking slow motioning shit and fucking be like, what was that? How do you? Because it's like, I'm gonna say that, like, you know, you guys have levels of understanding. Like, I know the guy from the team does Yang Style, and then the other guy does Wing Chun. So you guys are high level people already. You know what I mean? So you guys get the stuff, but there's still details that you might miss. You know what I mean? And if you're not like hyper focused and analyzing, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain little things that you gotta like really, really pay attention to. Like, otherwise you're just not gonna see it. That's where the fun is. That's where the good stuff is. All right, let me let you guys go, because I can ramble about martial arts fucking for days. I'm not gonna stop running my mouth. I'll just keep going, guys. So let me get out of here. Let you guys get some rest. If anything else comes up, let me know. And I appreciate you supporting me coming out of the Woo closet. They have to put an extra letter on the LBT stuff for the Woos. It should be LB blah 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 plus W. Plus the Woo. Wow, thank you. Well, let me ask you a question then. What was it that you saw from me that was a defining moment that you knew it was real? Because I don't know what people see. Like, I don't understand, you know? So I gotta figure out what you guys see and makes sense and actually is valid. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't you know what I mean? No, I appreciate you, man. I'm still gonna, you know, I got time. It's Friday night. It's no big deal. I'm not in a rush. I'm just worried that I'm gonna keep rambling on you guys, and also whoever's gonna come watch it later is gonna be like, what is this bullshit? But I definitely should. But I really am curious before I go. Was there a moment where you saw a video clip that I did, or an explanation that was specific, that was like a click that's when you knew it was the real shit? Because I'm about to go to war with faceless, countless fucking trolls. You know it's coming. We know what's gonna happen. Okay? Like, people are gonna hate. Okay, it's coming. Okay. So for you, an example that you actually tested. That's good. So tactile response. Okay. Thank you. Because that's helpful, because, you know, that means that, like, you know, there's a high likelihood that when I put out, you know, self demos you can touch is more important than what they can see. Is what I'm getting from that. So that's very good. I appreciate you guys. All right, I'm gonna let you guys know that I'm gonna sleep on that. That is actually really helpful, and I'm also grateful that it actually helped you guys. I really appreciate that. You know, so my suffering does not go in vain. All right, man. I would suggest, though, if you guys are really serious, if you know, you don't have to do any fancy Yang style. Go find the most basic Yang style form, like an 8 form or 24, whatever the fuck it is, and just learn that form and just do it once, twice a day, every day for 2 years, and keep practicing the stuff inside of it. It doesn't matter what your base system is, that'll help you a lot. For me, it was your Fajin Wall video talking about. See, okay, so it's 2 people with the Fajin Wall video. Huh. Okay. That's okay. So two guys, the same example. That's okay. Well, first off, the first thing is I'm gonna have to point people to that video and start talking shit. That's what you guys just taught me. So when the bullshit comes, I'm gonna point right to that one, because that seems to be the consensus here. So that's very helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you. You put yourself in my position, guys. You know, just imagine it's a fucking shit show. thank you. Thank you very much, because I get it, that, I know it doesn't seem like much to you guys, but put yourself in my place and just try to imagine like how strange and butt-ass naked you would feel on the internet doing this. You know what I mean? So it's a weird place for me to be in right now, and I don't have the network backing like, you know, Adam Minzer and the other, you know, master guys. I'm literally the renegade monk from the concrete jungle living completely alone in the middle of fucking nowhere. So, you know, I appreciate you guys. Awesome. Awesome. So that's a real good, so now at least I have something to focus on and understand what people are grabbing onto. Because for me, they're all just, it's just a fucking wall of shit. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of Polaroids of like days that I was out somewhere. It's like it looks like a photo album to me. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. You know what I mean? You know? And also like, I just happened to come at this place I'm at now, but I was like your position, you know, 20 years ago. And I was like, what the hell was that? And then I went on the same mission. And what got it from me was I saw that Chen guy do the demo on the stage, and I freeze framed it and put it into like 2.5 speed, and I watched it like over and over again, and I'm like, oh, I see the wave. And then I saw the Lama Dodri guy, and those were two click moments for me. Where like I had like Fa Jing like Chen Manqing style, and like, you know, I had the basics down, you know, pretty well. You know, in the early 2002, 3, I was already launching people. But that level is when I really analyzed it, and I was like, oh shit, and something clicked. So that was a moment for me. But again, I was already teaching for at least 10 years. And I was trained to look at PW mechanics and like tear them apart, like bit by bit. So like, I don't know if that's not the same for everybody else. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like what you guys just gave me is very valuable. So I appreciate you. You know, and so I say thank you again for your support. It really it means a lot. You know. Oh, you did it on somebody? All right, I'm giving. Oh man, I'm beating the crap out of people by proxy now. It's awesome. Every time you launch a motherfucker, I'm launching him through you. That's awesome. I'm going to that right there. I'm going to sleep happy on that one. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you so much. All right, and yeah, man, just keep it going, keep making it happen, and join the Discord. Actually, Discord just updated, and now they're going to be acting like Patreon and have like the subscription things. I have a Patreon, but I'm locked out of all this shit. I haven't opened it since my girl was in the hospital, and I just like gave up on the whole fucking thing and COVID. But I'm thinking that I was thinking about reopening the Patreon or Subscribestar shit, but now that Discord has it, I just want to stay in Discord. I'm going to shut down the Zoom bullshit, and I'm going to go straight with Discord. So definitely jump in there. And there's always somebody to bullshit with, and you guys can use the voice channels, whatever, and there's cool stuff. There's a bot in there, and you know, Discord stuff. All right, I'll keep rambling, guys. Let me get out of here. All right, I'll see you guys, you know, maybe tomorrow, but I'll catch up with you guys and keep training. Love you guys. Peace out. Have a great night.